Chapter 422. After the commotion caused by old Madame Lan, the atmosphere between them returned to its original harmony. When the people on the other side saw this scene, they were not in a good mood like Su Yiyan and the others. "What's wrong with old Master Lan? We came to celebrate his birthday out of kindness, but he's so nice. He ignores us, but he's very enthusiastic about Hua Qinhuan and that little b*tch. Hua Qihan listened to his wife's complaints, and his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Qinhuan is a family Hua after all. Father was so close to old Master Lan when he was alive, and Qinhuan is like that now. It's inevitable that he'll care more about him. Why are you shouting so loudly? If others hear you, they'll think that we can't tolerate him." Mrs. Hua choked, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. "He's a family Hua, but aren't you? Touch your conscience and tell me, was their attitude towards us the same as their attitude towards those two people?" Hua Qihan's face became uglier after being choked by his wife. Mrs. Hua was not in the mood to care about his feelings. When they came to the Lan family before, they had never met Hua Qinhuan. Naturally, they didn't know that the Lan family's attitude toward them was so different from when they faced Hua Qinhuan. Now that they knew, they definitely felt uncomfortable. In addition, too many things had happened at home in the past month or two. Their moods were at a critical point, and they could explode completely. Mrs. Hua looked at the various people coming and going at the banquet and felt that everyone was looking at them strangely. She tugged at Hua Qihan's sleeve and said suspiciously, "Do you think they already know that Xiaofeng has been kicked out of the Hua family, so they're hitting us when we're down and deliberately ignoring us? Have these guys forgotten how they licked their faces and begged you to cooperate with them? Enough." Hua Qihan finally couldn't help but shout. During this time, he was most annoyed that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out of his company. He was the person in charge and the decision-maker of the company, but his only son was targeted by the board of directors and directly kicked out of his own company. This was a great humiliation to him. Now, who didn't say that he didn't teach his son well? It was fine that his son's private life was messy, but he didn't have any ability. He had been in the company for less than half a year and was dissuaded by his own board of directors. What a joke. When Hua Qihan now thought about it, he wished that he didn't have such a son, and he was also dissatisfied with his wife. If she hadn't spoiled him since he was a child, would his son? Will you become mute if you don't speak? Hua Qihan's SSSSS, Hua Qihan's SSS. Hua Qihan glared at her fiercely. He suppressed his anger and asked, "Where's Xiaofeng? And where did he?" "I just said that I wasn't feeling well, so I went out to get some fresh air." "Get some fresh air?" Hua Qihan's face darkened. "Why are you running around in someone else's house? Don't tell me he went to look for that woman again." Mrs. Hua's expression changed when she heard this. "No. No way. Who knows? It's not the first time he's messed up a good thing. Hurry up and go find him. If you find him in contact with that woman again, tell him to get out of my sight. I don't have a son like him." Chapter 423. Mrs. Hua opened her mouth but did not say anything in the end. If it had been someone else, she might have been able to defend Hua Xiaofeng. But now that that woman was involved, not to mention Hua Qihan, even his mother suspected that the woman had put a curse on her son. He had suffered so many losses at her hands. She and her husband had also threatened him that if he had any contact with that woman again, they would cut ties with him. But he still did as he pleased. Had they really spoiled him so much over the years that he was fearless? Or was he sure that he was their only son and could not do anything to him? Mrs. Hua was full of anger, but she could not really admit that her son was stupid. So, she put all her resentment on Wen Jingping. In the original novel, Mrs. Hua did not have a good impression of Wen Jingping, the heroine from a poor family. She felt that she was not worthy of her son. Now, Wen Jingping had dragged her down several times. Even her son's position as the heir had been removed. Mrs. Hua increasingly felt that this woman was a jinx. She was afraid that she would never accept such a daughter-in-law in the future. Family Hua and Mrs. Hua were losing their minds. They were almost angered to death. On the other hand, Hua Qinhuan and Hua Xiaofeng were enjoying the highest courtesy of the Lan family. Unfortunately, although Old Master Lan and Old Madam Lan liked Hua Qinhuan, they were old and did not have much energy. After a few more words with the two of them, she asked her son and daughter-in-law to help take care of them. When the men gathered together, most of the topics they could find to talk about were related to business. Mrs. Lan was worried that Su Yiyen would be bored listening to them, so she asked her daughter-in-law to take Su Yiyen to the side to eat something. Today, the Lan family's private chef was in charge of the food and beverage at the banquet. This chef was somewhat famous outside. Some of the people at the banquet had come because of his reputation. Therefore, it was not rude for the two of them to hide and eat at the side. Su Yiyen tried some of their snacks. He had to admit that this chef was quite capable. The food he made was much better than the chefs outside. Is it to your taste? Lan Furen's eldest daughter-in-law Yan Xiaoran saw that Su Yiyen had only taken a bite of the pastry before stopping, and asked with a faint smile. Su Yiyen seemed to have woken up from a dream. It's quite delicious. Grandma's appetite isn't that good when the weather gets hot. If the food at home isn't good, she won't be able to eat. Su Yiyen understood instantly. No wonder the Lan family's chef was so good at cooking. If it wasn't so good, he might not have been able to enter their house. These men never stop talking once they start talking about serious matters. We can't even get a word in if we stay by their side. Why don't we come over and eat something first? You and Qinhuan didn't eat anything before coming here, did you? I came here in a hurry, so I ate some snacks that I made this morning. I'm not particularly hungry. You know how to make pastries too? Yan Xiaoran was a little surprised. I've learned a thing or two from my family's chef, but the taste is not as good as yours. Yan Xiaoran was quite confident in her family's chef's craftsmanship, but she was surprised. Your family's chef doesn't hide anything. Su Yiyen smiled and did not say anything. Just at this moment, a slightly familiar figure walked in from outside, attracting Yan Xiaoran's attention. Little Yi, come here. Yan Xiaoran waved at the young man not far away and called him over. Su Yiyen followed the sound and saw the person approaching. His eyes widened slightly and he was surprised. It's him. Chapter 424. Lan Jiaye walked up to Yan Xiaoran and greeted her flatteringly, sister-in-law. It's fine if it's any other day, but today is such an important day. Why did you come back so late and make the guests wait? Your brother and father are greeting the guests and have no time to talk to you. When they find out tomorrow, they'll definitely beat you up again. Sister-in-law, it's no use calling your mother. Tell me honestly, where did you go? Pfft. Su Yiyen couldn't help but laugh when she heard Yan Xiaoran's words. Lan Jiaye then noticed that there was a girl beside his sister-in-law. He took a closer look and recognized Su Yiyen. It's you. Yan Xiaoran looked at Lan Jiaye and then at Su Yiyen. You know each other? We've met once before. Yes. I met this lady at the streamer's shop before. There were no other empty seats in the shop, so I went over to share a table with her. Streamer? Yan Xiaoran thought for a moment and knew who Lan Jiaye was talking about. She looked at Su Yiyen with an inexplicable sense of friendliness. You're a fan of the streamer too? Su Yiyen laughed dryly and didn't say yes or no. Yan Xiaoran stared at her for a while and felt a little strange. Lan Jiaye didn't think much of it and said casually, I left in a hurry last time and didn't have time to ask for your name. I thought we wouldn't meet again, but I didn't expect to meet you again at my grandfather's birthday banquet. It's fate. Grandfather? Then the grandmother you mentioned before. She thought about how Lan Jiaye said his grandmother had a bad appetite and how Yan Xiaoran said old Madam Lan couldn't eat when the weather was hot. She immediately understood. Su Yiyen touched her nose awkwardly and thought to herself, this is too much of a coincidence. The first audience she sent to her live streaming room happened to be a member of the Lan family. Yes, have you met my grandparents? Lan Jiaya asked and then remembered that he still didn't know Su Yiyen's name. You're a guest today too. You are. Before Lan Jiaya could finish his words, Yan Xiaoran stepped forward and introduced him. Little Yi, this is your Uncle Hua's wife. Based on seniority, you should call her aunt. Pfft. Su Yiyen almost choked on the pastry. No need, no need. Just call me by my name. Although Su Yiyen had always used her status as an aunt to annoy Hua Xiaofeng, she was actually not used to being called an aunt by her peers. Lan Jiaya heaved a sigh of relief. That's great. I'm not used to addressing someone who's not much older than me as my aunt. Wouldn't that make her sound old? Jiaya. Yan Xiaoran yelled at him in disapproval. It's okay, it's okay. My surname is Su, and my name is Yayan. Lan Jiaya's attention was instantly diverted. Yayan? Which Yan? Don't talk when eating or sleeping. Isn't that the streamer's Yan? What a coincidence. Su Yiyen's expression completely froze. She lowered her head and took a bite of the pastry to hide the guilt in her eyes. She laughed dryly and said, "Ahahaha. It's quite a coincidence. At that time, I followed her because of her name. If she had known that such a day would come, she would not have been lazy to give herself such an ID name. No wonder." Lan Jiaya said casually and did not take it to heart. On the other hand, Yan Xiaoran heard Lan Jiaya's words and saw the change in Su Yiyen's expression. She suddenly thought of something and looked at Su Yiyen with a meaningful gaze. Chapter 425. Yan Xiaoran took a long look at Su Yiyen before returning to the original topic. You haven't told me where you went just now. She then added, don't try to lie to me. You've been going out from time to time these past few days. Your brother already asked your classmates and friends. You didn't look for them when you went out. Where did you go? Lan Jiaya was only a few years younger than Yan Xiaoran and Lan Minghan. Yan Xiaoran didn't really want to interfere with Lan Jiaya's private life, but he had been going out too often recently, and his family had noticed that something was wrong. Although Lan Minghan didn't say anything, he was actually a little anxious. He was afraid that Lan Jiaya would learn bad things from some shady people or that he didn't dare to tell them. That was why Yan Xiaoran wanted to take this opportunity to ask him properly. Lan Jiaya was a little embarrassed when he heard her words. He laughed foolishly and said, It's nothing. I just went to pick someone up. Pick someone up? Yan Xiaoran frowned slightly. Who? Lan Jiaya giggled foolishly again. He fidgeted and didn't say anything, just like a young lady. Su Yiyen watched from the side and suddenly had an epiphany. Girlfriend? Yan Xiaoran was stunned. A few seconds later, she reacted and exclaimed, Really? You have a girlfriend? When did this happen? Why didn't you tell us something so important? Lan Jiaya blushed slightly and said with a smile, It happened a few months ago. We just confirmed our relationship recently, so I didn't tell you guys. So you've been going out to look for her recently? Even today? Yeah. Then why didn't you just bring her over? She said that we just started dating and she wasn't ready to meet my parents right away. Yan Xiaoran raised her eyebrows. She sounded like a reserved girl, but she didn't know what her personality was like. Is that girl your classmate or someone introduced her to you? Did you pursue her first? Lan Jiaya didn't want to hide it anymore and said honestly, We're from the same school, but we're not in the same faculty. She's a year younger than me. As for pursuing her, you could say that I pursued her first. Why do you sound like you're not very sure? Actually, I only had a good impression of her at first. I didn't have that kind of thought. Then why are you? It's all because of the host's Chinese motherwort boiled eggs. Su Yiyen was shocked when she was suddenly called out again. What does this have to do with the streamer? She remembered that the online ID of this young master of the Lan family seemed to be, "What can I do if I don't like you?" Did she draw him in the boiled eggs with motherwort episode? Yan Xiaoran saw her reaction, and her eyes flashed with a ray of light. Lan Jiaye smiled awkwardly and said, "Didn't the streamer pick 3 lucky viewers during the live stream? I contacted one of them and asked her to transfer the prize to me. I wanted to give it to you, but I didn't expect." Yan Xiaoran suddenly realized that when the Chinese motherwort boiled eggs were delivered to her, she was on her period and was in extreme pain. She heard from Lan Minghan that he had won this item from a lucky draw while watching someone's live stream. It was effective in treating menstrual pain. Before he brought it back, he had already tried it himself. There weren't any problems, so he asked her if she wanted to try it. Although Yan Xiaoran felt that the stuff online wasn't very reliable, her stomach was really hurting, so she drank it in the end. She didn't expect it to be effective. Chapter 426. It was also from then on that she and Lan Minghan became Su Yiyen's diehard fans. However, other than tipping and participating in the lucky draw, they spent most of their time lurking and did not have much of a presence. "Don't tell me, you gave this to your little girlfriend after you saw it?" Lan Jiaye nodded in embarrassment. When he brought it home, he realized that although his brother said he did not want to watch it, his brother's body was very honest. He was lucky enough to be one of the lucky viewers. Since both of them had it, there was no need for him to give it to them. Lan Jiaye could not eat it himself, but it would be a waste to throw it away. After weighing the pros and cons, he gave it to his junior who had a good impression of him and was also suffering from menstrual cramps. He did not expect that when he gave it to her, others would think that he was wooing her. His junior did not think that way, but she felt embarrassed not to reciprocate after eating his food. As time went by, the two of them came into contact with each other. After that, the two of them began to have feelings for each other. Naturally, when the conditions were right, success was achieved. After hearing his explanation, Su Yiyen said with a stiff face, "So, when you said you wanted to meet her personally and thank her, it was to thank her for unintentionally bringing your marriage together?" "That's one reason. My grandma's incident is another." Yan Xiaoran nodded in understanding and chuckled. "So, the streamer is your matchmaker?" Su Yiyen. "No, she did not want to be their matchmaker at all." Lan Jiaye touched his nose and smiled a little foolishly. "You can say that. Okay. I'm relieved to know that you're just getting a girlfriend and did not do anything bad. If something like this happens again in the future, you should tell us earlier so that our family doesn't know the inside story and secretly let their imagination run wild." "Got it. Okay, go find your brother and the others. I have something to talk to your aunt about." Lan Jiaye instinctively wanted to ask something, but he was afraid that Yan Xiaoran would ask him about his girlfriend. He could only suppress his curiosity and hurriedly leave. As soon as he left, Yan Xiaoran looked at Su Yiyen and suddenly picked up a piece of pastry from the table and handed it to her. "Eat one more." Su Yiyen had just eaten one. Seeing that the taste of this pastry seemed to be different from the previous one, she didn't think much of it and reached out to take it. Su Yiyen raised her head and looked at her in confusion. Her hand was already holding the pastry, but the other party did not let go. Before he could say anything, he heard Yan Xiaoran say, "You are actually the host, right?" Su Yiyen's eyes narrowed and her smile was a little stiff. "What did you say?" "How could I? I recognize your hand." "Hand?" Su Yiyen reflexively retracted her hand. Little did she know that her action had confirmed Yan Xiaoran's conjecture. "Your hands are slender and fair. I can tell that you've lived a comfortable life and haven't done any heavy work. But there's a small scar on the back of your right hand's ring finger. I saw it during the live broadcast. It's exactly the same. In addition, when Little Yi mentioned the host, your reaction was a little strange. Your name overlaps with the host's name, and when Little Yi went to your shop, he happened to bump into you, so I boldly made a guess. Could you be the host?" Su Yiyen widened her eyes and looked at the white scar on her right hand's ring finger that was not even the size of a fingernail. She sighed inwardly. Are you from the special department? You observed so carefully while watching a live broadcast. Chapter 427. Su Yiyen complained in her heart. Her mouth twitched. Why didn't you tell him just now? Since you don't want to show your real face to others even though you've opened a shop, and you don't want to reveal your identity when you see Jia Yi, I think you don't want too many people to know about this. Yan Xiaoran winked at her playfully. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Su Yiyen's mood was complicated. She didn't know whether to be sad or happy. I know it's rude of me to ask about your identity so rashly. But recently, I've been troubled by a question. It's rare to meet the right person, so I couldn't help but ask. What's the question? Can pregnant women eat rock candy papaya? Su Yiyen almost choked on her own saliva. Huh? Wait, rock candy papaya. Did you make it yourself? Of course not, it was a gift from the streamer's live stream. Did the streamer forget? Su Yiyen's eyes widened slightly. She had a bold guess in her heart. She asked tentatively, pardon me for asking, but your husband is, my husband's surname is Lan, and his name is Ming Han. Lan Ming Han. This name, Ming Ming. Ruin? Does the streamer remember him? The corner of Su Yiyen's mouth twitched a few times. She thought to herself, the only male viewer who won the prize was just right. After that, he even showed off his affection in her live broadcast room. If she still did not have an impression of him, then she would be too careless. It's okay to eat a little, just don't eat too much. That's good. Yan Xiaoran breathed a sigh of relief. Speaking of which, Jia Yi isn't the only one who needs to thank you. Ming Han and I also need to thank you. If it weren't for the medicinal cuisine in your live stream, I'm afraid I wouldn't have a child so soon. Su Yiyen heard her words and had a bad feeling. Could it be that she and young Master Lan had eaten the medicinal cuisine that she made in her live stream to treat ovaries or men's diseases? Yan Xiaoran seemed to have seen through Su Yiyen's thoughts. She looked at her and smiled meaningfully. Su Yiyen. The odds of winning are so high. Is your family the reincarnation of a koi? Ahem, you and your husband are young. It's only a matter of time before you have a child. It's just a coincidence. That's true, but your medicinal cuisine must have had some effect. Auntie, you don't have to be modest. Su Yiyen. She was at a loss for words when he called her aunt. How many months are you pregnant? Almost 3 months. Yan Xiaoran's stomach had actually started to rise and fall a little. It was just that the clothes she wore today were a little loose, so it couldn't be seen. Your body is weak and you have some symptoms of cold congealing in your womb. You are more sensitive to the cold than the average person. During menstruation, your lower abdomen will also be cold and painful, and you will have to suffer a lot. Yan Xiaoran was startled, she was a little nervous. Then what should we do? When the month gets bigger and the weather gets hotter, they should also be careful not to be too greedy, teat. You can also soak your feet properly before you sleep. Let him massage the sunken part of your feet. You'll feel much better. Su Yiyen paused and comforted her. The child is fine now. Don't worry. Yan Xiaoran sighed in relief. She knew that Su Yiyen's suggestions were good for her body. She listened carefully and remembered them in her heart. Chapter 428. If you feel any discomfort after giving birth, you can also ask me. Su Yiyen then seemed to think of something and added, you can also ask other doctors. I'm not as professional as they are. Yan Xiaoran smiled. In my opinion, you're much more reliable than them. Su Yiyen smiled but didn't say anything. She said this to Yan Xiaoran only because she cared about the kindness of the 2 elders of the Lan family who had helped Hu Qinhuan in the past. Yan Xiaoran was the eldest daughter-in-law of the Lan family. As Father Lan gradually handed over the Lan family's company to Lan Minghan in recent years, Mother Lan slowly gave up her position as the mistress of the Lan family. She accompanied her husband and the two elders to live a leisurely retirement life. At first, no one noticed that she was separated from the main group. Now that they saw the two of them hiding in a remote corner, they came over one by one. In just a few minutes, there were already 5 or 6 more people around the two of them. These people came for Yan Xiaoran, and most of them didn't know Su Yiyan, so they didn't dare to talk to her rashly. Su Yiyan saw through these people's thoughts and was happy to be invisible. However, when she turned her gaze, she happened to see Hua Qihan, his wife, and Hua Xiaofeng not far away. This family of 3 was quite interesting. They came to attend someone else's birthday banquet, and their faces were dark the whole time. Especially the father and son, they didn't even want to look at each other and kept their backs to each other. Those who didn't know better would think that they weren't father and son, but enemies. Mrs. Hua, who was sandwiched between the two of them, was naturally in a bad situation. She looked at her husband and then at her son, and she looked like she didn't know how to persuade them. A madam who wanted to please Yan Xiaoran but couldn't get a word in edgewise saw that Su Yiyan had been staring in the direction of the family of 3. Her eyes flashed, and she finally found an opportunity to speak. "Hey, aren't those people over there from the family Hua? Why do they look like they're quarreling?" The other madam's attention was also instantly attracted. "Family Hua? The family Hua of the Hua group? Who else could it be? Why are they here?" When Yan Xiaoran heard someone suddenly mention the family Hua, she subconsciously glanced at Su Yiyan. Seeing that her expression didn't seem to change, he faintly said, "Family Hua's old master and our old master have known each other since they were young. Today is old master's birthday, so we invited these people to join in the fun." Several people saw that her expression was cold, and when she mentioned those people, she did not have the slightest intimacy in her voice. They knew that Yan Xiaoran did not like these people very much. Yan Xiaoran was the Lan family's young mistress and the future mistress of the Lan family. Her attitude most likely represented the Lan family's attitude. They looked at each other and immediately understood what attitude they should adopt towards the family Hua trio. "I heard that the young master of the family Hua was recently kicked out of the company by the old directors of the Hua Corporation." "I heard about it too. Don't you think it's funny? The Hua Corporation was founded by old master Hua himself. Now, he actually kicked out his own heir. If this was in the ancient times of Earth, this would be considered a coup d'état. If old master Hua's spirit is in heaven, I'm afraid he'll come back to life from anger. You can't blame the directors of the Hua Corporation. Although the Hua Corporation is a family Hua business, it's not only related to the family Hua's interests. Which of these old directors who receive dividends doesn't want to sit at home and earn a lot of money? Unfortunately, the young master of the Hua Corporation is a loser. You all heard about the Hua Corporation's plot of land a few days ago, right?" Chapter 429. Yes, yes, yes. I heard about it too. Didn't the Hua Corporation donate that piece of land later on? They're a big corporation after all. They donated such a large piece of land just like that. Do you think they wanted to? They were forced to do it. I have a distant relative who happened to be in charge of the handover of that piece of land. I heard that because young Master Hua was in charge of that piece of land, he didn't get anyone to survey it before bidding for it. When they started construction, they immediately dug up something underneath. Coincidentally, young Master Hua brought a girl to look for Miss Su at the time, and the media happened to expose it. The Hua Corporation's reputation was damaged, and their stock price kept falling. They had no choice but to donate that piece of land to salvage some of their reputation. I know about that too. Do you think there's something wrong with young Master Family Hua's brain? When he broke off his engagement with Miss Su at the same time, it was such a big deal. Anyone with eyes could see that they were in the wrong. Yet, he still had the audacity to bring that mistress to look for Miss Su so openly. It looks like he really doesn't think he's in the wrong. These people only heard rumors and didn't necessarily understand the details. Otherwise, they would have recognized that the person sitting in front of them was one of the main characters in their conversation. One of the ladies said with a dark expression, "Which one of these stinky men thinks they're in the wrong for abandoning their wives to look for other women? If it weren't for that piece of land, they might have been picked up high and put down lightly again. If you ask me, young Master Hu deserves to be kicked out of the Hu Corporation. Not only is he incapable, but his character is also terrible. If the Hu Corporation is really handed over to him, I'm afraid it's the end." Perhaps they wanted to use the family Hu as a stumbling block, or perhaps it was because the family Hu's reputation in the industry wasn't good, but they spared no effort in criticizing the family Hu. Su Yiyan listened from the side and more or less took pleasure in their misfortune. When the other ladies heard the last lady's words, they looked at each other and understood what was going on. This madam's younger sister just so happened to be married to a man with a mistress outside. Before the marriage, she thought that he was a good man, but who knew that he would only reveal his true nature after the marriage? The madam's parents were old-fashioned people. They felt that it would be difficult for their daughter to find another man after the divorce, so they kept preventing her sister from getting a divorce. Her younger sister had been tortured for a few years. 2 years ago, she couldn't take it anymore and decided to castrate her husband and wipe her own knife. With such a record, it was normal that she did not have a good impression of Hu Xiaofeng. After all, most people would only feel pain when they stabbed themselves or the people they cared about. Now that their heir has been kicked out, I'm afraid the Hu Corporation is coming to an end. That's not necessarily true. Who knows, Mrs. Hu might be able to give birth to a young master for the family Hu. Ha ha ha. When these words came out, several people could not help but laugh. In fact, they also knew that instead of hoping that Mrs. Hu would be able to keep her promise, it was better to hope that Hu Qihan would be strong and find another woman to give birth to a younger son for him. Even so, there were still some people who were not optimistic about this family. Actually, the family Hu has been going downhill over the years since it was handed over to the current person in charge. Isn't that so? When old Chairman Hu was still around, the Hu Corporation. Several people shook their heads in unison and looked regretful. It's a pity. If the young master of the family Hu hadn't met with an accident back then, the Hu Corporation would be in charge of the Hu Corporation. The Hu Corporation might be different now. Chapter 430. Su Yiyan was shocked when she heard this. She felt like she was enjoying the show, but she was suddenly shocked by her own family. Speaking of which, I think I saw the young master coming over. He was just talking to the old master and old madam. The person was not sure and turned to ask Yan Xiaoran, "Isn't that right, Xiaoran?" Yan Xiaoran smiled. "Today is grandfather's 70th birthday. Uncle Chenhuan took the time out of his busy schedule to come. Grandfather and grandmother are very happy." The way she called him Uncle Chenhuan was a stark contrast to the way she referred to him as these people. It really is him. After all, the old master is more influential. Ever since, it seems that he rarely shows his face outside. Isn't that right? I almost didn't recognize him when I saw him just now. He looks even better than before, but those legs. It's a pity. If it weren't for that accident, my little niece might have been a couple with him. Pfft. Su Yiyan choked and shocked everyone at the table. Yan Xiaoran knew why she choked and quickly patted her on the back to help her breathe. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Su Yiyan waved her hand with a subtle expression. Not only did she gossip about her own family, but she almost caused her own house to collapse. "You just said that your niece almost became a couple with the young master of the family Hu back then?" That person opened her mouth and was about to speak, but the woman next to her had already exposed her. "Don't listen to her nonsense. How could the family Hu like her niece?" The woman who had boasted about her niece was a little guilty at first when Su Yiyan asked, but she was unhappy when she heard this. "My niece is a pure and innocent girl, and she's also beautiful. Why would the Hu family not like my niece? Innocent and beautiful girls can't marry into a rich family these days." You. Su Yiyen didn't know who these two women were, but she could tell that they didn't get along. She raised her eyebrows and asked curiously, "Your niece is engaged to young Master Hua?" The woman's expression stiffened, and her eyes began to wander. The woman who was bickering with her sneered and exposed her on the spot. What engagement? Her niece had shamelessly pestered young Master Hua, but young Master Hua hadn't even looked her in the eye. Later, something happened to young Master Hua, and her niece ran away faster than anyone else. The next year, she married a peddler, and her child is probably a few years old now. As soon as she said that, the people around her looked at her with disdain. The woman panicked and defended her niece. Love is a matter of mutual consent. Besides, young Master Hua is crippled, and my niece is still so young. Is she going to hang herself on him for the rest of her life? Don't just stand there and talk. You speak so righteously, but if you're really not afraid, why don't you marry your daughters to him? The few of them choked and muttered in a low voice, "Our girls have never shamelessly pestered others like your niece." Su Yiyen saw the change in everyone's expression. His eyes darkened and he stood up. Yan Xiaoran thought she was going to lose her temper. Su Yiyen ignored her and turned to look at the woman. "Thank your niece for not marrying him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to meet someone better. I'll let it go this time, but if I hear you call him a cripple again." Su Yiyen's eyes turned cold and murderous. "I'll make you a cripple." Chapter 431. Su Yiyen's sudden outburst shocked everyone present, including Yan Xiaoran. By the time she reacted, Su Yiyen had already said, "You guys take your time talking. I'm going back." She turned and left. After she walked away, the woman who had faced Su Yiyen's anger directly came to her senses. She pointed at Su Yiyen's back and asked, "What did she mean by that?" "It's literally what it means." Yan Xiaoran's expression was a bit ugly. She sneered, "You mocked her husband's disability in front of her. She was kind enough not to flip the table and slap you on the spot." "Husband?" the woman exclaimed. She's. Yan Xiaoran didn't want to waste time with her. She got up and said, "I'm a bit tired. I'm going upstairs to rest. Help yourselves." As soon as Yan Xiaoran left, the rest of the women consciously distanced themselves from the woman. The woman watched the two disappear into the distance. She couldn't help but shudder when she thought about the rumors about young Master Hua's unpredictable temperament and cruel means of revenge after being disabled. Oh no, she seemed to have gotten into big trouble. After Su Yiyen parted ways with Yan Xiaoran and the others, she ran to find Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan was talking to the father and son of the Lan family. When she saw Su Yiyen come back alone, her eyes flashed slightly. She immediately stretched out her hand in her direction. "Why are you here?" "It's boring to be alone over there, so I came to keep you company." Hua Chenhuan didn't believe her. She looked her up and down and asked tentatively, "Tired?" Su Yiyen was stunned. She thought about what the woman had just said and felt indescribably depressed. She lowered her eyes and said, "A little." Hua Chenhuan saw that her mood was not as high as it was when she arrived. She frowned slightly and said to the father and son of the Lan family, "There's something at home. We have to go back first. Yan and I gave our gifts to the housekeeper before we came in. Tell Uncle Lan and Aunt Yi for me." Lan Minghan was surprised. "You've only been here for a while. Why are you going back so soon?" Papa Lan's gaze swept over Su Yiyen. He didn't force her to stay and only said, "There are many people today. Let's have a meal together another day, just the two of us." "Okay." Hua Chenhuan responded and left with Su Yiyen. As soon as the two of them left, Yan Xiaoran also came over. She did not see Su Yiyen, so she asked doubtfully, "Where are they?" "Let's go." Mr. Lan took the initiative to ask, "What happened just now?" "I saw that Chenhuan's wife didn't look too good when she came back." Yan Xiaoran sighed and told the few of them about what had happened over there. Papa Lan and Mama Lan's faces darkened after hearing it. Master Lan and Hu Qinhuan's father were good friends. Before the accident, the two families had been in contact. Hu Qinhuan was about the same age as Lan Minghan. Although the couple and Hu Qinhuan were of the same generation, they had always regarded Hu Qinhuan as their nephew. It was rare that Hu Qinhuan was willing to take the initiative to come over to celebrate Master Lan's birthday. However, they encountered such a thing in their territory. How could they not be angry? These gossipy women love to gossip behind people's backs. Yan Xiaoran reminded her mother with a smile. Mom, they don't know the identity of Miss Su. If it weren't for the fact that they don't know, they wouldn't have said it in front of the person. They are not fools. Yan Xiaoran choked and was speechless. Mama Lan was a little worried after saying that. Do you think Miss Su will be unhappy because of this and quarrel with Qinhuan? Chapter 432. She had been isolated at home for so long and finally figured it out. She wanted to go out for a walk and change her mood. If she quarreled and went back to square one, wouldn't all her efforts be wasted? Mr. Lan frowned and comforted his wife. It shouldn't be. Didn't Qinhuan just agree to have dinner with us a few days later? Who knows what will happen in the future? If they quarrel, how can they be in the mood to eat with us? Lan Minghan also persuaded, Mom, I saw that Miss Su wasn't in a good mood just now, but she didn't lose her temper with little uncle. When little uncle left, he said that both of them brought gifts for Grandpa. It can be seen that they have a good relationship. Miss Su should be unhappy because she heard people talk about little uncle like that. Mrs. Lan's expression didn't change. She just wanted to say that Qinhuan said that both of them brought gifts, so both of them prepared gifts. Maybe he prepared the gifts for his wife because he loved her. Before he could say anything, Yan Xiaoran had already exclaimed, Gift? What gifts? Hearing Yan Xiaoran's question, they didn't doubt her and said truthfully, he said that he gave them to the housekeeper. Lan Minghan saw that she wanted to see, so he reminded her in a low voice, there are so many guests now. Wait until they leave. Although Yan Xiaoran was curious, she knew that her husband was right. She nodded and secretly guessed that Su Yiyan might have sent those precious Chinese herbs. Su Yiyan didn't let her down. When the banquet was over and the crowd dispersed, Yan Xiaoran hurriedly asked the housekeeper to send the gifts that Hu Qinhuan brought. Hu Qinhuan picked a good jade for Mr. Lan. It was warm to the touch, which was suitable for people like the old man who was afraid of the cold. In addition, he also gave a string of pearls to old Madame Lan under the pretext of giving a gift. Su Yiyan's gift was placed under these two things in a long box. When they opened it, they were stunned. This is, before Mr. Lan finished speaking, Lan Minghan, and Yan Xiaoran shouted in unison, ginseng. The two elders were stunned. You all know what this is. Of course, it's a kind of Chinese medicine. It had appeared in the host's live broadcast room before. It was said to be a very, very precious Chinese medicine that could greatly replenish vitality. Even if a seriously ill patient still has a single breath left, this thing can also help to prolong their life. So magical. Father Lan looked at his second son, his eyes full of doubt. He always felt that his second son was bragging. Lan Jiaya could tell what his father was thinking at a glance, and he was furious. Just as he was about to argue with him, Yan Xiaoran had already taken a step forward and explained for him, although it may not be that exaggerated, but it's more or less the same effect. The data provided by the research institute couldn't be faked. It's just that it's said that the older it is, the more nutritious it is. If you really want to eat such a big tree, you might only need a little bit. You can't eat too much at once. When Mr. and Mrs. Lan heard her words, they looked at the box of ginseng with more caution. The research institute mentioned it before, so it should be true. You have to keep such a precious thing well. Seeing this, Lan Jiaya couldn't help but whisper, you don't believe me when I say it, but you believe it when my brother and sister-in-law say it. Mr. Lan was amused by his words. If you could be as sensible as your brother and sister-in-law, I would believe it too. You only know how to run around all day. You're not serious, and you still want people to believe you. Chapter 433. Lan Jiaye opened his mouth to refute. He wasn't running around, he was looking for a girlfriend. But then he thought that if he said that, his father might think that he was going out to pick up girls, which was also not a proper occupation. He could only shut his mouth reluctantly. When Lan Minghan heard his wife's words, he suddenly remembered that the host had mentioned the medicinal effect of this thing in the live broadcast room. He told the housekeeper, "This is good stuff. Even the research institute might not have many of them. Occasionally, when you stew soup, you can put a few pieces or a few roots in it. You have to take good care of it." The housekeeper hurriedly agreed. He suddenly felt that the hand holding the box was much heavier. Lan Jiaye stared at the high-quality ginseng and spontaneously found an excuse for Su Yiyen. Yan must have seen this in the host's live broadcast room. He knew that this thing was precious, so he specially bought it from the host and gave it to Grandpa. The corner of Yan Xiaoran's mouth twitched. She thought, "It's not as troublesome as you think. This thing originally belonged to me." Lan Jiaye's mother frowned slightly and scolded her youngest son, "Is Yan someone you can call? You have no respect for your elders." Lan Jiaye. She clearly said that calling her aunt made her sound old, so he called her that. In the end, he still got scolded. He was really picked up from the streets. Yan Xiaoran didn't help him. She smiled faintly and said, "Mom, now you, Dad, and Grandpa and Grandma can rest assured. Miss Su is willing to give us such a precious thing. Obviously, she cares about little uncle. She knows that we treat little uncle well, so she gave such a good thing to Grandpa. Just like what Minghan said just now, she doesn't look well. It's most likely because she heard that little uncle was criticized by those gossipy women. She can't wait to feel sorry for little uncle. She won't quarrel with little uncle." "That's good." Lan Jiaye's mother was relieved. She secretly thought that Hu Chenhuan had suffered too much these years. If there really was someone who cared about him and loved him, it could be considered that his parents in heaven were watching over him. At that time, Su Yiyen, who didn't know that her bad mood was exposed, was worried that she might quarrel with Hu Chenhuan. She was really angry. While he was angry, he couldn't help but feel sorry for the people around him. Hu Chenhuan noticed that she had been staring at her since she got into the car. She asked in a low voice, "Is there anything on my face?" Su Yiyen shook his head. "Not feeling well." Su Yiyen shook his head again. "Not in a good mood." Su Yiyen shook his head and then nodded. Hu Chenhuan couldn't help laughing. "Is this good or bad?" Su Yiyen snorted coldly and turned his face away. Seeing her like this, Hu Chenhuan restrained the smile on her face and asked in a low voice, "What happened? Who made you unhappy?" "No one. I just followed young Madame Lan to listen to a few people's gossip. My heart is a little blocked." Hu Chenhuan's face fell completely when she heard the word, gossip. "What did they say?" Su Yiyen snorted and said unhappily, "They say that you, young Master Hua, used to be handsome and dashing, and the girls who liked you almost broke the threshold of your family's house." Hu Chenhuan's face stiffened slightly. She didn't expect Su Yiyen to bring this up. She said without thinking, "Don't listen to their nonsense. It's all fake." "Really? Then why did I hear that there was a girl who almost got engaged to you?" "Engaged?" Hu Chenhuan's face was full of shock. Which bastard dared to spread such rumors about him? Did they have a death wish? Chapter 434. Hu Chenhuan, who was caught off guard by the accusation, was stunned for a few seconds. He quickly expressed his loyalty and said, "Nonsense. I have never been engaged to anyone except you, and I have never liked any other woman. Don't listen to their nonsense." "Really?" "Absolutely." "Then is it true that many girls used to like you?" Hu Chenhuan choked. Su Yiyan knew it was true when she saw his reaction. She was jealous and annoyed. Hu Chenhuan was a little flustered at first. When he calmed down, he noticed that something was wrong. Su Yiyan's reaction was jealousy, but it looked more like she was really angry. Did they also say that no girls were willing to approach me after I became disabled? Su Yiyan froze and did not speak. Hu Chenhuan had already gotten the answer from her reaction. He breathed a sigh of relief and reached out to straighten Su Yiyan's body. You are angry because of this, right? Su Yiyan pursed her lips and still did not speak. Seeing her like this, Hu Chenhuan suddenly remembered what he had heard from Yu Zian. The man in front of him had beaten Hu Xiaofeng to the hospital because he had mocked him for being disabled. His heart was as soft as cotton, poking holes in it. Isn't that good? I don't like them. I only feel annoyed when they always come to me. I am happy that they don't bother me. What Hu Chenhuan did not say was that there were still women who wanted to bother him when he was disabled. Later, he gave up because he knew that his father did not give the Hu group to him, but to Hu Qihan. However, Hu Chenhuan did not care much about this. He only cared about Su Yiyan from the beginning to the end. He used to hate his disability because he felt that he was not complete and was not worthy of Su Yiyan. Even so, Su Yiyan came to him without hesitation and walked into his life. Compared with this, nothing else mattered. Moreover, I am slowly getting better now. Soon, I will not be disabled. Su Yiyan heard the first half of his words and did not like to talk. When she heard the second half, her face changed. She covered Hu Chenhuan's mouth and said, "Don't say it." What? Don't say that word. Okay, I won't say it. Hu Chenhuan took Su Yiyan's hand and smiled. Who said this to you? Did you quarrel with them? Did you suffer any losses? Su Yiyan hesitated for a moment and said truthfully, I didn't lose anything. They didn't even know who I was in the beginning. Don't know who you are? Yes. At first, they were talking about Hu Qihan's family. Later, I don't know why they suddenly talked about you. One of the women said that you and her niece almost became a couple. There was another woman next to her who did not get along with her very well. She mocked her niece and said that you did not want her niece. Later, when you had an accident, she ran away faster than anyone else. When the woman heard this, she was angry and began to talk about you without thinking. Hu Chenhuan listened to the ins and outs of the matter, but laughed and teased, you know that she is the one who is pestering me. I don't like her at all. Why are you jealous just now? Su Yiyan was exposed and became angry out of shame. Do you have a problem with that? Hu Chenhuan immediately surrendered. No, you are my wife. You should be jealous when others say this. I am also happy that you can be jealous for me. Chapter 435. Su Yiyan listened to Hu Chenhuan's kind response. She felt a little embarrassed, but she still snorted proudly. Although Hu Chenhuan liked that Su Yiyan was jealous of her, she didn't want her to be angry because of this. She comforted her at the right time. That woman is also stupid. Let's not argue with an idiot. It's bad for your health to be angry. Su Yiyan calmed down and thought about it. Wasn't this woman stupid? Putting aside the fact that her niece was only in love with him back then, even if they were in love with each other back then, her niece had already married someone else and had children. Hu Chenhuan also had his own small family, so these things should not be talked about. If this spread to the family of her niece's son-in-law and her niece's son-in-law, what would they think of her niece? Or was she taking advantage of the fact that she wasn't around and so many years had passed to give her niece the title of a former lover? Who was she trying to disgust? Su Yiyan thought about it and felt that there was only one possibility, and that was, what's wrong? Hu Chenhuan saw Su Yiyan suddenly raise her head and stare at her faintly. Her heart trembled, for fear that she would say something shocking again. Su Yiyan shook her head and said earnestly, nothing. I just suddenly thought of a saying. What saying? Money moves people's hearts. These women dared to openly mock Hu Qihan's family and elevate Hu Qinhuan. On the one hand, it was because Hu Qihan's family had suffered a big setback recently. On the other hand, it was nothing more than seeing that Hu Qinhuan had a good relationship with the Lan family. They wanted to build a relationship with the Lan family through Hu Qinhuan. To put it bluntly, what was tempting was never the person, but the hidden benefits behind the person. If that's the case, you don't have to worry. Su Yiyan looked at him in confusion. I'm just a gigolo who depends on my wife. If you don't pay me a salary, I won't even have the money to support my family. What else is there for them to covet? Su Yiyan thought about it for a while. That seemed to be the case. Needless to say, the feeling of being in control of the family's finances was really great. Su Yiyan, who was a little confused by the sugar-coated bullet of money, suddenly looked better. Then, she saw her man's face, and her face suddenly became serious again. She said earnestly, beauty can also move people's hearts. Su Yiyan even touched Hu Qinhuan's face like a dandy who was flirting with a man from a good family. Just like me, what I fancy is your beauty. Fortunately, the front and back seats of the car had soundproof glass, which perfectly isolated the two people's voices. Otherwise, if the driver in front heard Su Yiyan's words, he would have driven the car into a ditch. Perhaps because she had been flirted with too many times during this period, Hu Qinhuan was no longer blushing like before. When she heard Su Yiyan's words, she even smiled and replied, no matter how their hearts are moved, it's useless. They will only be yours. Su Yiyan. Her skin had become thick-skinned. She was not as easy to flirt with as before. However, these words were quite pleasant to hear, so she reluctantly let it go. That's more like it. Remember what you said. No matter if it's your money or your beauty, you must not pick the wildflowers outside. Seeing that Su Yiyan was no longer angry with those people, Hu Qinhuan's eyes also had a little more smile. However, this smile did not last long, and was replaced by coldness. Although he comforted Su Yiyan not to take those words to heart, he did not intend to let off the woman who gossiped and hurt Su Yiyan. Chapter 436. Su Yiyan didn't know the twists and turns in Hu Qinhuan's mind. After returning from the Lan family, she began to nervously prepare for class. To be precise, she had started preparing for the class a few days ago. However, the day before the class, she had forgotten all about her confidence and knowledge. All that was left was nervousness. Hu Qinhuan saw her panic. He felt distressed, jealous, and amused. You're just going to teach a few brats. Do you have to be so nervous? Brats? Some of them are older than me and even you. You're really not embarrassed to call them brats. Su Yiyan suddenly remembered that Yi Qiliang seemed to have said before that he would bring some elders to sit in on the class. So, the brats that Hu Qinhuan mentioned were most likely older than her father. Pfft, since they are older than you, why do they want to listen to the class of a young person like you? Su Yiyan choked and glared at him angrily. Hu Qinhuan didn't get angry. He said with a good temper, since they invited you to be a lecturer, it means that you must have the ability to convince them. Don't be afraid. Relax. Su Yiyan wasn't comforted at all. She lay on the bed and was very depressed. This is the first time I'm teaching people. The first time is unfamiliar, the second time is familiar. I'm worried that I won't teach well and will mislead the students. If I remember correctly, you seem to be the only one who knows these things. Even if you teach wrong things. No one should know, right? Although Hu Qinhuan was curious about why Su Yiyan suddenly knew how to cook and cure diseases, everyone had their own secrets, just like he had his own secrets. Blindly getting to the bottom of things wasn't necessarily a good thing sometimes. As long as she was still Su Yiyan, the one he loved deeply, that was enough. Your thinking is a little dangerous. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Hu Qinhuan patted Su Yiyan's head and comforted her softly. You're not a doctor, so you don't have to tie the right and wrong to yourself. Even doctors can't save all living beings. Su Yiyen thought about it and felt that it made sense. The master can lead you through the door, but the cultivation depends on the individual. It's naturally good if he learns well, but if he doesn't, there are many other things he can do. No one said that if he learns something from you, he has to apply it in the future. You're right. So, don't be too nervous. Just treat it as a meeting for your company's employees. You make it sound so easy. Hu Chenhuan looked at her and smiled meaningfully. If you're so nervous that you can't sleep, let's do something to help you sleep tonight. What's good for my sleep? After saying that, Su Yiyen realized that something was wrong. She stared at Hu Chenhuan for a long time, then rolled to the side and pulled up the quilt to cover herself. Hu Chenhuan's eyes deepened when he saw that. He smiled and said, "Are you hinting that I can do whatever I want to you?" A buzzing voice came from under the quilt, and it sounded a little angry. "For your head, you can't. Then when can I?" The person under the quilt was silent for a moment, then she pretended to be calm and replied, "I'm asleep. I didn't hear anything just now." After saying that, she seemed to feel that her tone wasn't very good, so she added in a low voice, "We'll talk about it later." Hu Chenhuan looked at the little bump on the bed, smiled, and said in a hoarse voice, "When I'm completely recovered." Chapter 437. Su Yiyen knew exactly what he had left out. She hid under the blanket and blushed like a cooked shrimp, but she did not dare to poke her head out of the blanket. The two of them spent the night peacefully. The next morning, Su Yiyen hurriedly left the house before Hu Chenhuan woke up. She naively thought that she could avoid the awkward topic by doing this. However, she did not know that not long after she left, Hu Chenhuan came downstairs. "Young master, should I ask someone to follow young madam to school?" "You don't have to follow her too closely. Just make sure she's safe." Zhuo Yanbai nodded and immediately asked someone to follow her. Su Yiyen had expected Yi Qiliang to personally come and pick her up, given how much he valued her. However, she had not expected that other than Yi Qiliang, the principal of a university would also come to pick her up. She also did not expect that the classroom, which she thought would be empty, would be filled with more than 50 people. Half of them were young people in their early 20s, while the other half were old people who were about the same age as Yi Qiliang. Su Yiyen, even though the number of people present was less than the number of people attending a small class, Su Yiyen could not help but feel nervous. Before she could speak, Yi Qiliang's face darkened. He shouted at the old people who occupied the front row, "What are you doing here?" Su Yiyen was stunned. She looked at Yi Qiliang blankly. "Didn't you call these people over?" The principal, who was standing next to Yi Qiliang, scanned the crowd and frowned. "Old Chow, Old Gu, and the rest of you. Why are you here instead of staying in your school?" Su Yiyen. It seemed that some of these old people were not from the school. No wonder they all came together. If one did not know better, they would have thought that this was some kind of senior training school. The few of them did not panic when they were called out by the former principal and Yi Qiliang. They stood up and said, "Old Yi, this is your fault. Why didn't you tell us about such a good thing? Tell me, are you planning to hide him here? You're not being honest." "Bullshit, what's there to hide? I was the one who personally invited him here. You guys don't have the ability or the opportunity to do so, yet you're still trying to twist the facts and accuse me of wrongdoing. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. You want to pick up something ready-made? No way." When they saw Yi Qiliang's firm attitude, they looked at each other and decisively shifted their attention to Su Yiyen. Their eyes lit up. As soon as Su Yiyen met the gazes of these people, an ominous premonition arose in his heart. Before she could hide, this group of gray-haired old people had already rushed up to her like sprinters. They held her hand and said in an incomparably familiar manner, "You're the broadcaster who donated the Chinese medicine seeds to the research institute, right? I didn't expect you to be so young and so good-looking. You're really a young hero." Su Yiyen. That doesn't seem to be the right way to describe him. Hello, everyone. Su Yiyen really did not know how to deal with these unfamiliar old people. She could only politely and awkwardly greet them. Just as she did not know how to continue, Yi Qiuyang had already taken a step forward and pushed their hands away. He stood in front of Su Yiyen to protect her. Like a hen protecting a chick in front of an eagle, he shouted at the old people, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're already so old, yet you're still trying to get physical with a young girl. You're an old pervert, aren't you ashamed?" Chapter 438. After being yelled at by Yi Qiuyang, they realized that they had indeed lost their composure. They said embarrassedly, "We didn't mean anything by it. We were just too excited." Yi Qiuyang snorted coldly and still refused to move aside. Su Yiyen saw that these people clearly knew Yi Qiuyang. She glanced at them and finally asked, "Professor Yi, these people are?" When Yi Qiuyang heard Su Yiyen's question, his entire body stiffened and he said awkwardly, "They are professors from another university's pharmacy department." "Why would professors from another university's pharmacy department come to your university?" Yi Qiuyang opened his mouth and was about to explain when one of them interrupted, "We're here because of you." "Because of me?" Su Yiyen raised her eyebrows and seemed to sense something. "How did you know that I was coming?" It's all my fault." Unexpectedly, the person who apologized was Yi Qiuyang. It turned out that after Su Yiyen accepted his invitation, this old professor was so happy that he couldn't find his bearings. In order to vent his joy and show off, he posted this incident on his WeChat moments. In the end, this shot had attracted all of them. Yi Qiuyang was now so regretful that his intestines almost turned green. He wished he could travel back in time and chop off those restless hands of his. After his explanation, Su Yiyen was embarrassed. She looked at these uninvited spectators, and the corners of her mouth twitched as she said, "Gentlemen, this is a university. It's not good for you to come here so openly to freeload, right? What's not good about it?" Their gazes shifted to the principal of a university. When the principal first saw these people, he was so angry that he lost his mind. Now that he had calmed down and was being stared at by these famous professors who were several years older than him, he broke out in a cold sweat. His tone was not as righteous as before. "It's not good to begin with. You're from another university. The guards let you in without permission. I'll have to settle the score with them in a while, let alone listen to a lecture here. You guys didn't apply to me." The more he said, the colder their gazes became. The old principal braced himself and held on. This precedent could not be set. Putting aside the fact that Yi Qiuyang had begged for Miss Su for a long time to get her, even if it was just a normal class taught by an ordinary teacher in the school, without any application from his side, people from other schools could come and listen as they wished. Furthermore, it was right under his nose as the principal. If news of this were to spread, where would his face be? Seeing the old principal like this, they knew that it was impossible to persuade him. They looked at each other and seemed to have made up their minds. "It's fine as long as they're from your school, right? How did you come to this conclusion?" I didn't say anything, don't mess around." Sure enough, in the next second, he heard a few people say, "Today, we will resign and then come to your school to apply. Today, let us freeload." The old principal was speechless. Could he refuse? If those old fellows knew that he had poached them, wouldn't they eat him alive? No, this wasn't right. They had clearly come here on their own accord. Su Yiyen was a little speechless when she saw their shameless behavior. She coughed lightly and reminded them, "My class is not open to anyone from a university." Before she could finish speaking, she was interrupted again. "Isn't it just a guarantee? We'll sign it. Sign it, sign it, sign it right away." Su Yiyen was speechless. What was wrong with these people? They even knew about this. Chapter 439. Yi Qiuyang and the old principal were also quite surprised. They immediately reacted and looked at the students in the classroom. As expected, they were met with guilty and helpless looks. With so many big shots asking them, even if these people weren't their teachers, they didn't dare to not answer. The old principal and Yi Qiuyang were speechless. You traitors, don't even think about graduating. Yi Qiuyang's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Don't go too far. How are we going too far? It's just that. The person was about to say that they were just here to freeload, but then he remembered that this class wasn't for just anyone. Worried that Su Yiyan would find them unreasonable and insatiable, the old professor wisely stopped talking and looked at Su Yiyan pitifully. The others also subconsciously looked at Su Yiyan, their eyes full of anxiety and pleading. Su Yiyan, who had always been amenable to coaxing but not coercion, was speechless. Ahem, it's not impossible for you to stay, but there are conditions. Sign the contract. We'll sign it. Sign it, sign it, sign it right away. As long as we can stay, we'll do anything. Su Yiyan was speechless. Sign it, what do you mean sign it? If I give you a slave contract, who will you cry to after you sign it? But on second thought, this group of people had already planned to resign and apply for a job in order to freeload. Signing a slave contract or something like that wasn't impossible. Su Yiyan was full of complaints and didn't know who to talk to. In the end, she watched this group of people sign the guarantee, agreeing to let them stay and freeload. After a chaotic episode, Su Yiyan was finally able to officially start teaching. At this time, more than half of the class time had passed. Su Yiyan's eyes turned and she went straight to the point. Hello everyone, I'm the lecturer of Chinese medicine. My surname is Miss Su. You can call me Miss Su. We may meet often in the future. I hope everyone can get along well. Is there a problem with me? As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, a boy raised his hand and asked, why is it Miss Su and not Teacher Su? That's because my educational background may not be as high as some of you. If you call me teacher, I'll feel burdened. Also. Su Yiyan paused and winked playfully at everyone. I'm younger than all of you. If you call me teacher, I'll feel old. Everyone present. They felt the blow of age. Back to the topic, let's talk about what traditional Chinese medicine looks like in your eyes. The room fell silent for a moment. In the end, Yi Qiuyang asked tentatively, medicine based on Chinese herbs. Su Yiyan glanced around and said with a faint smile, is there any other answer? Don't be nervous. I know that you guys don't know much about this. If you guys are wrong, I won't laugh at you. No one said anything. Su Yiyan didn't say anything right or wrong. He continued to ask, then what are Chinese medicinal herbs in everyone's eyes? I know this. It's plants. I've seen it in the host's live broadcast room. It's fresh or dried plants. Peng Jiaji said excitedly. Then the expression on his face suddenly froze. Only then did he remember that this was not the live broadcast room. Su Yiyan was their teacher now, not the host. Su Yiyan glanced at the young man who spoke and felt that he was somewhat familiar. After thinking for a moment, he remembered that this person seemed to be one of the people who accompanied Yi Qiuyang to find him. Chapter 440. It's not wrong for you to understand it that way. Su Yiyan gave some affirmation to his answer. Most of you are pharmaceutical students, so you should know that most of the medicine today is made up of chemical ingredients and biological agents. As for Chinese medicine, as this student said, many of them are plants, but not all of them are plants. Take bezoar for example. It is a stone in the gallbladder, bile duct, or liver duct of cattle or water buffalo, but it has the effect of clearing the heart, dissipating phlegm, promoting gallbladder, and calming shock. It also has a certain effect on children's convulsions, epilepsy, toothache, swollen throat, mouth and tongue sores, carbuncle, and other diseases. When Su Yiyan said this, the audience was in an uproar. The stone in the cow's stomach is also a Chinese medicine. Shouldn't stone be formed by the dirt in the stomach? How can it be eaten? Won't it be poisoned? The audience discussed animatedly, but Su Yiyen seemed to have expected this. She took a deep breath and said, "This is the reason why we want to learn this subject now. If I didn't tell you that bezoar is also an important medicine, would you have thought that the stone in the cow's stomach can be used to treat diseases?" Everyone was silent for a moment. In ancient times, Shenong tasted hundreds of herbs and left the Shenong's medicine classic. Later, Li Shizhen worked hard to compile the Compendium of Materia Medica and passed it down to the world. The purpose was to let the world understand the value of these Chinese medicine, so that they can be used to treat diseases and save people. It's a pity that these precious books, along with many precious Chinese medicine, have been lost in the two migrations of mankind. I have a question. As soon as Su Yiyen's voice fell, someone asked, "Teacher, no, Miss Su, since most of these things have been lost, how do you know about them?" Su Yiyen had expected that someone would ask this question. Even if it was not the students present today, it would be someone else. Because my home happened to be one of the small parts that were preserved. Just like recipes, some were preserved in the rush of migration, but a large part was still lost. For this reason, the Research Institute developed the nutrient solution, which is convenient for the public and can also fill their stomachs. The planet they lived on was different from ancient Earth. The animals and seafood here were bigger than those on ancient Earth. Some vegetables were smaller than those on ancient Earth. That was why natural ingredients, especially vegetables, were so expensive. When humans first set foot on this land, they couldn't be sure if the plants on this planet, or even the seeds they brought with them, would mutate or be poisonous. Coupled with the loss of the recipe, the Research Institute simply came up with a nutrient solution that could extract animal and plant nutrients. However, this thing was just like compressed biscuits. It concentrated and extracted all the nutrients in the food. It could fill the stomach and also satisfy the various nutrients needed for human survival. However, it sacrificed the most important taste of the food. Even though they knew that it was cheap and easy to drink, many people still wanted to eat a delicious meal. You mean you have books related to it at home? What about those seeds? Was it also left behind by your ancestors? As soon as this question was asked, many people pricked up their ears. Obviously, the person who asked the question was not the only one who was curious. Many people were curious, but they were too embarrassed to ask before. Chapter 441. Yes, those Chinese medicine seeds were also left behind by my grandfather's family. It's just that they have been cultivated recently and have seen the light of day again. Why have they only been cultivated recently? Didn't you know that they were Chinese medicine seeds before? This was also the question that many people present were wondering. Su Yiyen smiled and continued to explain, "That's true. I grew up in my grandfather's house. My grandfather's house has a lot of books, and I like to read, so I've read most of the books in my grandfather's study. A few years ago, I happened to see a few books related to Chinese medicine in my grandfather's study. Because of this, my family and I speculated that one of our ancestors might have been an expert or doctor in the field of Chinese medicine. Medical books were not like cookbooks. Most people would buy a cookbook and follow it back to improve their daily diet. As for medical books, one couldn't just buy one when one was sick and compare it to treat oneself, right? The best explanation was that one of the ancestors had been involved in this field, so it was more likely that such things would appear in the family and be preserved until now. Yi Qiliang had a deep understanding of this. The book that mentioned Chinese medicine was also found in his family's study. Although it was only a few words, it made him very curious and changed his fate. After reading these books, I developed a new interest in traditional Chinese medicine. I searched through many things left by my ancestors in my family, and among them were the seeds of these herbs. This made me even more certain that my ancestors must have been engaged in a profession related to traditional Chinese medicine. Su Yiyen lied without blushing, and no one doubted her. After all, the Great Migration was like wandering without a fixed place to stay. At that time, people would think most about how to save their own lives. At that time, who would want to drag these things along with them, other than those who were really involved in this field? Who else could it be? When I first found these seeds, I didn't directly hand them over to the research institute because I wasn't sure if they could still be grown after such a long time. Later, it was confirmed that they could be grown, and the finished product was indeed as described in the book. My family funded the research institute to start the research and planting of these seeds. I believe that in the near future, these things that have disappeared will be able to be popularized again and play their role. When Su Yiyen said this, the classroom was shocked for a moment, followed by a burst of warm applause. A few seconds later, another person suddenly raised his hand. I have a question. Speak. Just like Professor Yi, I've watched your live stream and I think you're very, very good. But you just said that you came across those books by chance a few years ago, and you only started to grow these things in recent years. Also, you're not that old now. Does this mean that as long as we study seriously, in a few years, we can also? Su Yiyen was a little dizzy from the way the other party addressed her. She almost thought that the person standing in front of her and asking her questions was not a student, but an entertainment reporter. After a while, she smiled again and said with some pride, if you study seriously, you will definitely gain something, but I can't guarantee that you will be like me. After all, talent is very important. Personally, I think I have inherited some of my ancestors' talent in this aspect. Everyone. F***ck, they felt the malice coming from the top student towards the bottom student. Chapter 442. Su Yiyen saw that the room was a little quiet, so he raised his head and glanced at everyone. Is there anything else you want to ask? If not, we'll continue with the lesson. No one spoke. Su Yiyen continued, to learn Chinese medicine, besides learning how to distinguish Chinese herbs, you also have to learn how to diagnose diseases. Just like when you go to see a doctor, the doctor has to determine what illness you have before he can prescribe the right medicine. Unlike the doctors nowadays who use instruments to diagnose diseases, Chinese medicine emphasizes on looking, smelling, asking, and feeling the pulse. A good Chinese medicine doctor can tell what's wrong with your body just by looking with his eyes. Just by looking with his eyes? Yi Qiliang could not help but recall the last time he went to the shop to look for Su Yayan. Su Yayan had also identified the symptoms of his two students at a glance. Although the symptoms of these two students were indeed obvious on the surface, he was more curious about, can you tell what's wrong with the body just by looking at the surface? When Su Yiyen saw that the person who asked this question was Yi Qiliang, he quickly understood what he meant. He smiled faintly and said, that girl from before had an internal problem, which was why she showed it by burping. However, this is indeed a relatively obvious way of showing it. There are also some that are relatively less obvious. Who is not feeling well now or recently? Are you willing to come up and give me a demonstration? Only those who are not feeling well can do it. It's fine if you don't. Some diseases were not obvious, and it was possible that even people themselves did not notice it. As soon as Su Yiyen said this, everyone was eager to give it a try, especially the few old people in the front row. They couldn't wait to rush up immediately. Seeing this, Su Yiyen simply pointed at one of them. This way down, the girl on the left of the fourth row. Yes, you don't have to look around. It's you. Are you willing to come up and help me? The girl who was pointed at by Su Yiyen was stunned for a moment. Immediately, she showed a confused expression as if she was absent-minded in class and was suddenly called by the head teacher. In the end, she staggered to the front under the reminder of her friends. Old. Old. The girl stood in front of Su Yiyen and stuttered. Don't be nervous, relax. The girl was a little shy. She nodded awkwardly and lowered her head slightly, not knowing what to do. Su Yiyen held her hand and said in a gentle tone, the so-called look is to look at a person's 5 sense organs. There is a simple formula, the liver governs the eyes, the heart governs the tongue, the spleen governs the mouth, the lungs governs the nose, and the kidneys governs the ears. Simply put, I can tell if your liver is sick from your eyes. The tongue corresponds to the heart, the mouth corresponds to the spleen, the nose to the lungs, and the ears to the kidneys. As Su Yiyen spoke, she carefully sized up the man's facial features, while the people below recorded down her words. But there is one thing that needs to be noted here. The tongue is different from the tongue coating. The tongue corresponds to the heart, while the tongue coating corresponds to the spleen and stomach. Su Yiyen said to the girl, "Open your mouth and stick your tongue out a little." The girl's face was slightly red. She opened her mouth and only stuck her tongue out a little. It seemed that this was her limit in public. Su Yiyen didn't make things difficult for her. After all, she still needed to take her pulse. The tongue coating is a little white. It means that your spleen and stomach are cold and you need to nourish your stomach. Do you have an irregular diet and like to eat cold things? Chapter 443. The girl was slightly startled and asked tentatively, "Cold stuff? Frozen nutrient solution. Does it count?" Yes. The girl was a little embarrassed when she heard that. She just felt that the nutrient solution didn't taste very good. She happened to hear that the frozen nutrient solution would taste better, so she tried it. In the end, she found that the frozen nutrient solution did taste a lot better. She was used to chilling it before drinking it, but she didn't expect, "You're afraid of the cold in winter and often have stomach pains?" The people below subconsciously pricked up their ears to listen to the girl's answer. Yes. Su Yiyen didn't continue to ask. Instead, he continued, "Other than the facial features and tongue coating, the condition of your internal organs can also be seen from your face and the phlegm you spit out when you cough. But for you, it's still too early to talk about this. If you're curious, you can go to the hospital and stay for a while. There are all kinds of patients there. You can try to analyze their symptoms from their appearance. There's nothing better than practice to make people grow." Su Yiyen added as he was particularly worried, "Of course, what I mean is that you only need to look at them with your eyes. Don't do anything unnecessary. Otherwise, it's a small matter if you get beaten up, but misdiagnosis is not a joke." Pfft. When Su Yiyen said that, the people couldn't help but laugh. Next is smell. Other than smell, you can also listen to the sound. Different patients with different diseases have different breaths when they talk and breathe, such as high and low, strong and weak, clear and turbid, and slow. For example, the person in front of you, her breaths belong to the weaker type. She breathes in slowly and exhales slowly. From this, you can tell that her body is cold and her constitution is weak. She needs more nourishment and recuperation. When Su Yiyen said that, the people were stunned again. Everyone's eyes subconsciously focused on the girl. Especially the old people in front whose ears were not very sensitive, they couldn't help but move closer to her. They wanted to hear if her breathing was really as Su Yiyen said, that it scared the girl so much that she couldn't help but step back and her breathing became chaotic. Su Yiyen saw this and coughed lightly, trying to pull the people's attention back. Let me give you another example. Everyone should know about asthma. How can you distinguish between the breathing of an ordinary person and asthma? Asthma. In addition to wheezing, there was also a key word, roaring. In Chinese medicine, the roar refers to the shortness of breath, but the throat actually makes a short, low cry, which often appears at the end of every breath. Because of this, Su Yiyen knew that Ning Siyuan had asthma when he first met him. If you have someone with asthma around you, you can go back and observe them carefully to see if what I said is true. Next is to ask. This is literally what it means. We have to ask about the patient's physical condition so that we can prescribe the right medicine. Don't underestimate this. Consultation often requires the patient to have complete trust in the doctor before they can tell you everything. Some patients who are afraid of treatment will not only not tell you, but may even lie. This may interfere with your judgment and affect the follow-up treatment. Su Yiyen did not go into too much detail about this. The last one is about feeling the pulse. You can confirm the illness by feeling the pulse. As soon as Su Yiyen said this, the old people in the front row stood up together and rushed to the front of the podium to take a closer look at the so-called pulse reading. Chapter 444. The girl who was called up was startled and wanted to run away by reflex. Su Yiyen was a little helpless and glanced at everyone warningly. Stay away from her. Otherwise, she will be too nervous and her heart will go out of order. If I take her pulse later, it will be easy to make mistakes. The expressions of the 10 or 20 old professors who could be Su Yiyen's grandparents froze when they heard this. They touched their noses embarrassedly and took a few steps back to give the two of them space. Only then did the girl breathe a sigh of relief and gradually calm down. Sit down and give me your hand. The girl nodded and sat down on the chair beside the podium and handed her hand over. Everyone in the classroom stared at the two people on the podium. After about a minute, Su Yiyen frowned and said, "You came to class without eating in the morning?" The girl was stunned and carefully nodded and replied. Yes. Stomach ache? Yes, a little. Cold stomach, weak spleen, excessive liver heat, and have been staying up late recently? Yes. The girl nodded and there was an uproar in the classroom. He actually hit the nail on the head. It's easy to get heaty if you stay up late and come here without eating in the morning. It's normal for your stomach to hurt. It's easy to get your heaty down, but your liver heat is just an appearance. Your cold stomach is the real problem. If you only think of ways to get your heaty down but don't take care of your stomach, you will only be treating the symptoms and not the root cause. Su Yiyen seemed to have thought of something and said, "Your body is weak to begin with. Drinking cold things for a long time can be a big or small problem. You should pay more attention in the future." The girl nodded hurriedly. I won't drink frozen nutrient solution in the future. After being hit on several of her body's problems, the girl was now convinced by Su Yiyen's words. Then, how can I take care of my stomach? Eat more porridge and soup to nourish your stomach. If you don't mind, you can also come to my shop. The people there will recommend medicinal cuisine suitable for your body. Su Yiyen paused for a moment, then coughed softly and said, "It's fine if you cook it yourself. Cook some millet porridge from time to time. Eat regularly every day. Don't eat breakfast and lunch together, and don't always eat raw and cold food." The girl nodded as she began to plan how to get to Su Yiyen's shop. She had heard that the store only had 200 slots per day, and the demand was not enough to meet the demand. The reservations had already been lined up for half a year. She wondered if they could open a back door for her on account of her relationship with the store manager. The girls cooperated with Su Yiyen and went down from the stage after the class. The few old people in the front row who were eyeing covetously finally found an opportunity. One by one, they came forward and wanted Su Yiyen to take a look at them. Su Yiyen, although most of these old professors had retired, they were still in their original positions. From time to time, he would give a few classes to the students and analyze the composition of drugs in the laboratory. He was a rare living treasure in the entire department and also the living signboard of the school. Most of these people were equipped with a good medical system. They would check their bodies regularly every day so that they could be aware of their own physical condition at any time. To put it bluntly, these people knew their own physical condition like the back of their hands. They wanted Su Yiyen to take a look at them because they wanted to experience the magic of Chinese medicine and satisfy their curiosity. Su Yiyen understood this. Of course, she would not allow them to mess up a good class. She finally persuaded them to leave after much persuasion. Chapter 445. Since it was her first class, Su Yiyen did not plan on stuffing them with too many things. She only prepared some basic theoretical knowledge and prepared 10 types of Chinese herbs such as Chinese knotweed, red dates, astragalus, angelica, and so on. She wanted everyone to see these things with their own eyes to understand the medicinal properties and effects of these things. When Yi Qiuyang and the others saw these things, their eyes turned red. They wished they could throw away their pride and rush up to the podium to pick up the Chinese herbs and do a 100-meter sprint. However, they could not snatch them, but they could still take a few more glances. Yi Qiuyang looked at his colleagues, who had their eyes glued to the medicinal herbs. He was a little disgusted but also a little proud. No matter how much they pretended on the outside, when they saw these things, their true colors would be revealed. They were already so old, yet they were still so inexperienced. How embarrassing. In the end, he had the foresight to invite Miss Su to be their lecturer. In the future, wouldn't they be able to see as many Chinese herbs as they wanted? At that time, Yi Qiuyang had clearly forgotten his reaction when he saw these Chinese herbs in the live broadcast room. His reaction was no better than these people's. There was not much content in the morning's class, but it allowed these laymen to step foot in front of the door. It also made these people sincerely convinced of Su Yiyan as their temporary lecturer. These people were chosen to attend the class. Although they said they were interested in this subject, in reality, they were just curious. After all, there was a lack of literature, so what Su Yiyan said was still very unfamiliar to them. However, after this morning's class, many people were already yearning for the things that Su Yiyan described. They also had more respect and curiosity for Su Yiyan as their teacher. Susu, are you really younger than all of us? How old are you this year? What the hell is Susu? Look at how young I look. How can I be older than all of you? As for my exact age, don't you know that it's very impolite to ask a girl's age? Susu, what does your family do? Is there anyone who is also involved in medical research? Is it a medical family? My family is just an ordinary family. The father is kind and the son is filial. It's harmonious and happy. There's nothing much to say. Teacher, you're so young. I don't think you have a boyfriend yet, right? What do you think of me? I'm the school hunk of our school. Everyone. Su Yiyan. Everyone's eyes focused on the person who spoke. After a few seconds of dead silence, someone shouted angrily, Yan Ju, you shameless bastard. School your sister's grass. You're the school's grass. I'm the most handsome person in the world. Is Yan? You're the campus hunk of a university. I think you're more like a dog's tail. If word gets out, you'll embarrass a university. That's right, that's right. If you're the school hunk, then wouldn't I be the market hunk? If people from other schools hear this, they'll think that all the boys in a university are ugly and that no one can find a girlfriend. Let's see if we won't kill you. Su Yiyan listened to everyone's impassioned criticism and was dumbfounded. This so-called school hunk had not been officially recognized, and his looks were not good enough. It was no wonder that it caused a riot. However, for such a small matter, they were all full of fighting spirit. They could not wait to scold him until he prostrated himself in front of them. Sure enough, he did not have enough homework. He was too free. Chapter 446. Oblivious to the fact that they were already on Su Yiyan's blacklist, and that they still had to face a lot of homework even after entering university, they were still blushing and criticizing the shameless school hunk. Yan Ju himself looked indifferent. He ignored the curses and said casually, I'm asking the teacher, not you. Why are you so agitated? Are you secretly in love with me and can't bear to see me confess to someone else? Everyone was shocked by his brazenness. After a while, they reacted and scolded him even more fiercely. Who's in love with you, narcissist? Beast. Stinky hooligan. Shameless. Yan Ju's expression did not change. He looked at Su Yiyan with a smile and said, Teacher, you haven't answered my question. I don't have a boyfriend. But. Su Yiyan raised her hand to show them the beautiful diamond ring on her ring finger. I have a husband. Crack, this was the sound of many people's hearts breaking. I don't believe it. It's useless if you don't believe it. Su Yiyen's face was cold. Also, I told you not to call me teacher. Since you're so disobedient, copy all the knowledge I taught you this morning 10 times and hand it in. I'll check it in the next class. If you don't complete it. Yenju subconsciously said, then what? Don't be nervous. At most, I'll ask you to come up and help with the demonstration, just like the girl on stage. Su Yiyen smiled innocently. By the way, I'll inform everyone in advance that we'll be talking about acupuncture in the next class. Acupuncture? Yi Qiliang and the others exclaimed. Their eyes were shining. They couldn't wait for Su Yiyen to start the class immediately. They were very willing to go up and do the demonstration themselves. Su Yiyen. Did these old men have masochistic tendencies? One by one, they rushed up to ask for acupuncture. She really couldn't understand how their minds worked. Although Yenju didn't know what acupuncture was, when he saw the reaction of these old professors, he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. He had a faint premonition that this was definitely something very dangerous and terrifying. The chaos between classes was just a harmless interlude, so Su Yiyen didn't take it to heart. Little did they know that not long after that, everything that happened between them was replayed in front of Hu Qinhuan. Someone confessed to Yan Yan in public? Yes. Although it was only a morning class, I can tell that young madam is very popular among the students, especially the male students. Outstanding women were popular, and beautiful women with good temperament could easily become the center of attention wherever they went. Zhuo Yanbai could clearly see that their young madam had attracted the attention of many boys as soon as she entered the classroom. Not to mention, when she was speaking on the podium, she was simply a shining body of light. Although the young madam's frank words might have dissuaded some people, it might not be able to dissuade everyone. It was hard to guarantee that there would be 1 or 2 people who would not give up. Hu Qinhuan's eyes flashed when she heard his words, but her expression didn't change. Got it. Have someone continue to accompany her. Zhuo Yanbai opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He obeyed and turned to leave. Dun Dun, who was comfortable in Hu Qinhuan's arms, slapped Hu Qinhuan's hand. Its eyes were full of disappointment. Its master was attracting bees and butterflies outside, but its father didn't feel any sense of crisis at all. It was really worrisome. You'll regret it when you come to a green grassland. Chapter 447. After taking the picture, she gloated. Who told you to show off your love in front of this hurt little puppy? Look at you now, you deserve it. Perhaps because Su Yiyen had been busy with work, this little rascal had been taken care of by Hu Qinhuan. When they lowered their heads and looked at each other, the brain waves of a human and a dog miraculously matched. Heh! Hu Qinhuan sneered and tapped Dun Dun's little head. You don't even have a wife, how dare you laugh at me? Dun Dun, who was instantly pierced by thousands of arrows, was speechless. Dun Dun flew into a rage out of humiliation when Hu Qinhuan hit its sore spot. It jumped up forcefully while being held in Hu Qinhuan's arms, trying to use its chubby little body to crush Hu Qinhuan. Hu Qinhuan was very disdainful of this. She grabbed Dun Dun by the back of its neck and lifted this audacious puppy up. Yuan Yuan. With a low shout, the door to the study opened with a bang. A robot wearing a light pink maid dress slid in from outside. Papa, what can I do for you? QQ's soft mechanical voice sounded. It had a childish tone that was unique to children and was very cute. After confirming the relationship between Hu Qinhuan and Su Yiyen, Yuan Yuan re-entered the program and began to call Hu Qinhuan Papa. When it was at home, it spoke to the two of them more intimately than when it was with others. Take it to the living room to reflect on its mistakes for half an hour. If it doesn't cooperate, don't let it eat dinner tonight. Okay. Yuan Yuan obediently went forward to take Dun Dun. Woof. Woof. Dun Dun was stunned for a few seconds before it reacted. Its 4 limbs began to flutter non-stop. I didn't do anything wrong, I don't want to reflect on my mistakes. Sure enough, once you have a new puppy, you don't want the old one anymore. Master, come back quickly. Papa Dog and this little rascal are going to abuse me and deduct my dog food. Unfortunately, the puppy, who had yet to experience the dangers of the human world, was no match for the intelligent robot. No matter how it struggled, Roly-Poly easily carried it away. Along the way, she even said earnestly, Yuan Yuan has already told Dun Dun not to make Baba angry. Although the head of this family is Master, Papa is the second master. Master loves Papa so much. If you two quarrel, Master will definitely help Papa. Wouldn't you be the one at a disadvantage? When Hu Chenhuan heard Yuan Yuan say that Su Yiyan loved her so much, she couldn't help but smile. No wonder Su Yiyan liked this little thing so much. This little thing was much smarter than Dun Dun. Dun Dun listened to Roly-Poly's persuasion and his strength to struggle became weaker and weaker. In the end, he gave up and gave up. Dog Daddy hurt his body, this little demon hurt his heart, and Master, forget it, Master is also in cahoots with them. There is no place for this little puppy here, sob sob sob. After watching the two little guys leave the study, the smile on Hu Chenhuan's face faded. Thinking of what Zui Yanbai said, a cold light flashed in her eyes. She felt that she needed to declare her sovereignty. At that time, Su Yiyan still didn't know that everything that happened in school had been broadcasted live in front of Hu Chenhuan. After a whole morning of teaching, Su Yiyan immediately grabbed her bag from the table and ran out of the classroom after the bell rang. She didn't give the old professors any chance to pester her. Just as she got into the car and was about to go home, her phone rang. As soon as she picked it up, she heard Xia Juancheng's rare panicked voice. Yiyan, something happened. Chapter 448. Su Yiyan's heart suddenly thumped. What's the matter? Don't worry, make it clear. It's Luo Weibing. Something happened to Luo Weibing. Luo Weibing? Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes. Is it his former agency? Yes, they have been investigating where Luo Weibing went since the termination of the contract with him. It may be that he came to our company in the past 2 days. A large number of media and marketing accounts began to expose his dark material on a large scale this morning. Su Yiyan's eyes were slightly cold and her face was a little ugly, but she was not flustered. Luo Weibing's former agency would find trouble with Luo Weibing and their company. After all, with the company's dirty atmosphere and his former agent's temperament, it was certainly impossible to let Luo Weibing go easily. Even if they couldn't kill Luo Weibing and their company, they were bound to step on them in order to bite a piece of meat from them. What's the dark material? Do the public relations department have a response plan? Everything else is okay. It's not difficult to explain. What's more serious is that they dragged you and your man into this. What? Su Yiyan's face darkened. What's going on? It turned out that a crew suddenly appeared early this morning and angrily accused Luo Weibing of being a big shot without any contract spirit. He had already said that he would take the role of the male lead in their TV series. The crew was also full of joy. In order to cooperate with his time, they delayed the shooting for a month. As a result, when it was time to shoot, he suddenly regretted, causing the crew's shooting plan to be stranded and the loss was heavy. Later, another actress suddenly jumped out and said that she was repeatedly harassed by Luo Weibing during the cooperation with the crew. She was even forced to have sex with him. Now that she had a child, he not only refused to admit it but also asked her to abort the child herself. Otherwise, he would kill her to keep her mouth shut. After that, the so-called exposure involving Su Yiyan and Hu Chenhuan that Xia Junsheng had just said. At first, it was a photo of Su Yiyan and Luo Weibing entering and leaving the hospital together. It was claimed that Luo Weibing's contract with his former employer had expired a few days ago, but had not been renewed. The reason was that Luo Weibing had a relationship with the current person in charge of Dongcheng, Miss Su, who had scolded the young master of Hu Group and his mistress not long ago. The exposure pointed out that the two went in and out of the hospital together, they were intimate, and they seemed to go to the obstetrics and gynecology department. It implied that the relationship between the two and the relationship was not simple, and it was likely that there had been an affair's child's an affair product. After reading the news, Luo Weibo. Weibo Weibo. These black-hearted media outlets were best at reading pictures and writing stories. No matter what the truth was, as long as they could attract traffic, they would naturally do whatever they could to break the news. Luo Weibing's fans naturally did not believe that their brother was such a person. They helped to clarify that Luo Weibing's family had a patient in the hospital and that it was very likely that he and Su Yayan had met by chance in the hospital. But the first two pieces of black material had been previewed before this, making people think that Luo Weibing's character was problematic. Some passers-by who didn't know the truth had been led astray, and a large wave of water army and anti-fans were leading the rhythm in it. The clarification and rebuttal remarks were quickly drowned by a series of bad comments on the screen, such as, cursing Luo Weibing for being a big shot, sleeping with a female star, being kept by a married man and intervening in other people's marriage, betraying his old employer who had been kind to him, etc. Chapter 449. However, this was not the climax of the whole incident. Su Yayan, an inspirational figure who had angrily ripped apart the scumbag's mistress some time ago, suddenly fell from grace overnight and was labeled as a shameless slut who cheated on her husband. Many people were very curious about the identity of the husband who had suddenly been cuckolded. Immediately, someone took the initiative to expose that Miss Su's new husband was the uncle of the family Hua's young master who had previously been scolded as a scumbag. The person who was originally going to marry the nephew had suddenly married the uncle. She had changed from a fiancé to an aunt. Many people had already imagined the drama of a wealthy family in their minds. The onlookers loved to watch a good show. In addition to watching the drama in the entertainment industry, they also loved to watch the scandals of wealthy families and property wars. From the intricate relationship between Su Yiyan, Hua Qinhuan, and Hua Xiaofeng, many people already had a preconceived notion that this matter was not as simple as it appeared on the surface. When Su Yiyan saw this, she vaguely felt a trace of strangeness. She felt that the person behind this had a very high possibility that she was not the only target. Sure enough, about half an hour after that, another insider revealed that Miss Su's husband was actually disabled and had long lost the ability to reproduce. If Su Yiyan was pregnant, then this child must have been the product of an affair. When this revelation came out, many people were shocked. They were even more certain that Miss Su had married the family Hua's young master on the spur of the moment and that she had a very good motive for having an affair. Some men with cancer who were not used to Su Yiyan's previous insults immediately began to mock and ridicule her. When I saw this woman scolding the family Hua's young master before, I thought she was very powerful. Didn't she rely on marrying that rotten old man to dare to straighten her back? If you ask me, this woman only wanted to climb up the social ladder and did not succeed, so she flew into a rage out of humiliation and found trouble with young Master Hua. Young Master Hua is also pitiful. A good second-generation rich man's reputation was ruined because of her, and he even lost his inheritance rights. Calling her a vicious woman is already a compliment. Previously, when I saw her scolding that scumbag and mistress, I quite liked her. Now, it seems that she's just so. These rich people are not good people. Each one of them knows how to play. They are a nest of snakes and rats. It's disgusting. He's right. Miss Su looks like she's only in her early 20s, and young Master Hua is also in his early 20s. Uncle Hua must be at least 40 or 50 this year, right? An old man with a handicap. I could already picture him old and ugly. She still wants to marry him. You're telling me that it's true love? I'm afraid he doesn't love money. Hua Qinhuan was not a celebrity in the entertainment industry whose photos were all over the streets. Moreover, he had not been out much since the accident. The netizens could not find any information about him or a photo of him. Based on his identity as Hu Xiaofeng's uncle, they were certain that he was an old man about the same age as Hu Qihan. They were certain that Su Yiyan had married Hu Xiaofeng's uncle to take revenge on him. However, after marriage, she could not bear to live with such a person, so she could not help but have an affair, which led to the current situation. After Su Yiyan finished reading these self-righteous analysis posts and the personal attacks on her and Hu Qinhuan from the random passers-by below, she was so angry that she almost smashed her phone. It was fine if these people were scolding her, but they were scolding her husband. It was fine if they were scolding her husband, but they were saying that he was old and ugly, and that he was a crippled old man. Damn old man. Have you ever seen such a young and handsome old man? Chapter 450. Su Yiyan was so angry that she immediately called Gu Xiaoyang. When Gu Xiaoyang received Su Yiyan's call, he thought that she was asking them for help because of the things on the internet. She wanted them to help her fight the internet water army like they had done several times before. Unexpectedly, as soon as the call was connected, he heard Su Yiyan ask, "Has the commercial of Fantasy Feast been released?" Fantasy Feast was the holographic online game named after the two of them. It was composed of homophones from each of their names. Gu Xiaoyang was startled and said truthfully, "Not yet. It was originally scheduled to be released tomorrow. 1 day earlier. Release it now. Give me a copy of the commercial. We'll interact with each other later to make the topic hot." Didn't they want to make their artists disappear? Come on. She was not afraid of them. Today, she would show them what it meant to be a top star. Okay. Gu Xiaoyang had no objection to Su Yiyan's order. He even tried to comfort her when he heard Su Yiyan's tone. "Young madam, don't care too much about the bad comments on the internet. We'll help you deal with it as soon as possible. The legal departments of your company and several of our companies are already preparing for it." As soon as Gu Xiaoyang finished speaking, Su Yiyan said angrily, "I know. These people are just jealous of Huan's beauty. A group of sour chickens. If I don't slap their faces swollen, my surname is not Su." After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she hung up the phone, leaving Gu Xiaoyang standing there in a daze, his face full of doubt. Huan. Beauty. Was young madam mad because of the vicious curses on the internet? Speaking of beauty, shouldn't young madam be the one? If young master heard this, he would be killed. Of course, he would be killed, not young madam. Understanding this, Gu Xiaoyang silently closed his mouth and pretended that he had heard nothing. As soon as Su Yiyan gave the order, the commercial of Fantasy Feast was released immediately. As a new account that had just been registered, not many people paid attention to it. The commercial did not receive much attention when it was released. Until Su Yiyan logged into her official account, reposted and commented on the advertisement. Huan's little Susu, my husband is the most handsome person in the world. I won't accept any rebuttals. Thank you. For those who said that my husband is old and ugly, I suggest that you poke your eyes out. The ophthalmology hospital can no longer save you. As for cripples, if a person could be described as crippled during treatment for a leg injury, then there wouldn't be many able-bodied people in this world. Also, you don't have to worry about those who are cursing our artists. If your main character turns into an ice cube, our artists won't either. Originally, everyone had been keeping a close eye on the public accounts of those involved because of the scandals. When they saw Su Yiyan appear, the onlookers and the internet water army immediately rushed over. The troll army didn't care about what you posted. They just copied and pasted it, crying and cursing. They couldn't wait to drag out all 18 generations of Su Yiyan's ancestors and curse them. The onlookers saw her response first and felt that her tone was too arrogant. They rolled up their sleeves and were about to scold her when they saw the two pictures attached to the response. The background of the picture was a beautiful seaside manor. There were a lot of blue roses planted in the manor. In front of the roses, a young girl was holding a big bouquet of blue roses and kissing a young man in a wheelchair. The picture was harmonious and warm. It was so beautiful that it could only appear in a fairy tale. Chapter 451. Although this picture was beautiful, it only captured the sides of their faces. It did not allow the crowd to see Hua Chenhuan's front, so it was difficult to distinguish his looks. The second picture was different. The background of the second picture was still the same small manner. The girl reached out to pick the beautiful blue roses, while the young man sat a few steps away from her. His gentle smile softened the young man's handsome facial features that had matured and carried a little aggressiveness. The affection in his eyes even poked the hearts of many girls at once. This scene was incomparable to the saying, "You look at the scenery, and he looks at you." The warm sunlight shone on the two of them, and it was as beautiful as a painting. Burp, the crowd, who had come in to scold them, was forced to eat a lot of dog food, and they were full. F***ck, is this the little uncle of the family Hua? Who said that he was old and ugly? With such good looks and old and ugly, shouldn't those men who can't be celebrities apologize with their lives? I love this little brother, it's a pity that he doesn't debut with such good looks. I want to debut, I want to debut. Superficial woman, you only know how to look at the face. Can't you see that the relationship between the young couple is so good? Eyes can't lie, didn't you see that when the two of them looked at each other, their eyes were full of each other? How can they let you little vixens get in the way? I feel like I'm going to climb the wall and change my husband again. But when I think about how this husband has already become someone else's husband, sob sob sob, my heart hurts. Height was not a problem, age was not a distance, to put it bluntly, in the eyes of many people, appearance and family background were the most important. Because these people were not involved, they did not know the character of the two of them, and how their relationship was. They could only judge whether the two of them were a good match based on these superficial things. Before this, when they found out that Su Yiyan was marrying Hua Xiaofeng's uncle, their first reaction was that she was marrying an old man about the same age as her father. A young and beautiful girl suddenly marrying an old man, even if it was true love, was bound to be criticized by outsiders. Now that the photo was out, it was different. Everyone realized that the person they were talking about was not only about the same age as Su Yiyan, but he was also much more handsome than the young master of the family Hua. A handsome man and a beautiful woman together was always pleasing to the eye. Some of the people who were obsessed with good looks changed sides on the spot and sucked in their beauty. Of course, there were also some people who suspected that the man in the photo might not be the so-called family Hua uncle at all. They were all uncles, so it was impossible for him to be so young. Even so, some people suspected that these two photos were posed. Su Yiyan didn't care what they thought. She watched as more and more people praised her husband's handsomeness under her post. There were all kinds of comments that licked the screen. At the same time, she felt proud and a little jealous. She wouldn't give her husband to anyone. No matter how much she licked him, he wouldn't be yours. Humph. Compared with the discussions of passers-by and the doubts of the Water Army team, Luo Weibing's fans are embarrassed. She felt that her brother's boss this time wasn't very smart. She didn't explain anything after being cheated on and got pregnant. She only cared about scolding those haters who complained that her husband was old and ugly. Well, I know you have a good relationship. Hurry up and explain other things. The people involved were not anxious, but the onlookers were anxious. But then they noticed the post forwarded by Su Yiyan. When they clicked on it, they found that it turned out to be a short advertisement, and the protagonist of this advertisement was their brother. Chapter 452. What is this? Brother's new costume drama? Or is he working with movie queen Shui? I can do it. It doesn't seem to be a new drama. It's an advertisement, or a game advertisement. The background of this advertisement is so beautiful. Brother and movie queen Shui are also very beautiful. I feel like I'm in love again. Some of the internet water army saw the exclamation of Luo Weebing's fans and finally noticed the advertisement. They didn't watch the advertisement, but only the advertisement of the game. They thought that Dongsheng was a small company and couldn't provide any good resources. Showing off a small game advertisement, they really haven't seen the world. Luo Weebing's anti-fans also became spirited in an instant and began to mock and gloat. Ha ha ha, the double gold award winner has been reduced to shooting a game advertisement? I'm dying of laughter. How bad is this? But in the end, he deserves it. He's ungrateful, acting like a big shot, and betraying the company that he owes a favor to. He will always be punished. I don't want to say this, but didn't Black Ice always talk about Luo Weebing's double gold award winner title? The double gold award winner has been reduced to endorsing a game advertisement. He was even pulled out by the new boss to brag. Hee hee, I want to see how Black Ice can brag in the future. The anti-fans felt that compared to jewelry and clothing advertisements, game advertisements could be said to be the least well-known kind of endorsement. With Luo Weebing's original status, endorsing this advertisement was simply lowering his status. However, to the disappointment of the internet water army and the anti-fans, their ridicule didn't have any effect. Everyone was attracted by this beautiful advertisement. It was a magnificent scene. There were lofty mountains and lofty ridges, as well as flowing houses. A young man dressed in a light blue ancient robe drew his sword and swept it across, cutting a large area of green bamboo forest. His face was full of youthful spirit. The scene changed. Birds and beasts flew away, the stream was tinkling, and a girl wearing a light blue gauze dress by the river closed her eyes and played a flute. The melodious flute sound perfectly matched the background music. The advertisement was less than 2 minutes long, but it made everyone present feel like a proper blockbuster movie. Especially the exquisiteness of the video, it was as beautiful as a fairyland. Just by looking at it, people couldn't help but want to go in and take a look. At the end of the video, there was a publicity poster of 2 people back to back. At the same time, 2 big gold words flashed. Fantasy Banquet. There was a series of explanations at the bottom. The world's first holographic online game was officially released on the first day of the month. Many fans of Xue Kaiwei and Luo Weebing who heard the news were stunned. It took them a long time to react. Did I see it wrong? A holographic game. A holographic game. F***CK, are you serious? The first day of the next month? Isn't there still 4 days? Heavens! Heavens! Is the holographic era? I just followed the public account that posted the video and took a look. The verified account says that it's an internet economy company. I searched for this company online and it seems to be a subsidiary of Fantasy. F***CK, Fantasy. The company virtual fantasies fantasy the company virtual company if it the company the like. It virtual is it? T have it s virtual t s t. Chapter 453. After a few times, many people felt that the word holographic was similar to The Wolf is Coming. After watching the commercial, they felt that it might be another scam. Fortunately, the word fantasy gave them some confidence. With the popularity of live streaming, the development of virtual simulators had made many people remember this company. It was this company that allowed a single language interaction to be able to smell, eat, and even touch. This was a groundbreaking development. At that time, some people had speculated that if one day someone could turn virtual reality into reality, that person would definitely come from fantasy. And now, this prophecy had come true. They had really developed a holographic game and brought it here. I went out and did a search. The background of this company is quite mysterious. It feels like a small company that suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They created virtual simulators and now a holographic game. I suddenly feel a little excited. I don't care. Based on this commercial, I want to play this game. At worst, I'll be scammed again. Where can I find the address of this game? How can I buy a gaming pod and gaming helmet? Weiwei is awesome, Luo Yingdi is awesome. Just based on the fact that Weiwei is endorsing this game and the scenes in the game are so beautiful, I want to play it too. Rounding it up, it's me and Weiwei playing the game together. After the anti-fans realized that they couldn't change the rhythm and attack Luo Weebing with this endorsement, they began to ridicule this game for being an ordinary holographic game. To think that so many brainless fans believed it. They were really stupid and had a lot of money. Luo Weebing's fans didn't care. If it was an ordinary game, they might be a little disappointed. However, this was a holographic game, the world's first holographic game. It was a holographic game that game fans dreamed of. They believed that their idol wouldn't casually endorse a deceptive game, so this game was most likely real. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been released so close to the game. As long as it was real, they could imagine how popular this game would be in the near future. As the spokesperson of this game would bring Luo Weebing a lot of popularity and traffic. Understanding this, Luo Weebing's fans calmed down. With resources in hand, they could laugh at a mad dog. The more you scold them now, the more popular their brother will be in the future. Before they woke up from the happiness of being hit by the giant pie falling from the sky, Luo Weebing, who had been scolded not long ago, finally stood up and sent a long Weibo to respond to the dirty water that some people had poured on him before. First of all, the director of a certain production team accused him of acting like a big shot. He had clearly promised to join the production team as the main lead, but he went back on his word right before the start of filming. Luo Weebing said that he did receive an invitation from the crew, but he refused him in front of the director from the beginning. However, the director did not give up. Later, he contacted his former manager, hoping to change his mind through him. At that time, he had less than a month left on his contract with the company. His agent had tried to negotiate with him many times, but his attitude was firm and he refused until he completely terminated his contract with his old management company. Therefore, he had never agreed to join the crew, nor did he have any written or verbal agreement with the crew. If they still wanted to pin the blame on him, then he had nothing to say. Chapter 454. Then there was the female star who suddenly jumped out and said that he sexually harassed her and was pregnant with his child. Luo Weebing simply responded, he has never had a relationship with any woman beyond friends since he was so old. Please respect yourself. The hidden meaning was, thank you for your invitation. I am still a virgin and have no ability to make any woman pregnant. The child in your belly belongs to whoever you like. Anyway, it's not mine. Finally, he and Su Yiyan were photographed in the hospital and were rumored to be kept as mistresses. He made the new boss pregnant by the unspoken rules and changed the company. Luo Weebing only sent a few medical records of his sister, indicating that it was his sister who was treated in the hospital. As the new boss of Luo Weebing's agency, Su Yiyan appeared in the hospital and was in the same frame with him because she went to the hospital to visit his sister. However, manager Xia of the company and his current agent were also with him at that time. Those photos only showed the scene of Su Yiyan discussing his sister's condition with him. In addition, the doctor who treated his sister was also arranged by the company. For this reason, he was very grateful to the company for saving his sister. He didn't regret choosing this humane company as his starting point. Luo Weebing's fans almost burst into tears when they saw his response. They said that they had known that Luo Weebing was not such a person. They felt sorry that he was slandered with such a good new boss. But there were still a considerable number of people who didn't believe Luo Weebing's response and even thought that he was deliberately quibbling. Because his response seemed to be reasonable, but except for the medical records, there was no substantial evidence at all. Without evidence, it meant that he was not completely innocent. But these people also forgot that this kind of thing was originally a matter of who argued and who provided evidence. These people who suddenly appeared to reprimand Luo Weibing only relied on their words. They didn't give evidence from the beginning to the end. They believed in the rumor and turned a blind eye to the sincere explanation of the party. They also shouted to him to hand over the evidence. Otherwise, how could it be said that Luo Weibing, the party involved, was miserable because of the rumor? Luo Weibing's protection of Dongcheng and Su Yiyan unsurprisingly annoyed his old boss. In their opinion, they have paid a lot of things for Luo Weibing over the years. Luo Weibing patted his ass and left as soon as the contract period was over. He should be suffered by them. As a result, Luo Weibing resisted and praised the new company. Isn't this a roundabout irony that their old company is not good to him? At the moment, he forwarded Luo Weibing's post and said that he respected Luo Weibing's choice. Their company was too small to accommodate the Buddha. At the same time, he bought a group of water army, accusing Luo Weibing of disobeying the company's control during the contract period. Obviously, he had already found the next company and vowed to put the hat of ingratitude on Luo Weibing's head. This has angered those old fans who have been fans of Luo Weibing since his debut and have followed him through countless ups and downs. At first, I thought that since my brother had worked in a black-hearted company for 6 to 7 years, there should be some affection. Let's part on good terms. We won't bother about the filthy things that the dog company did to our brother in the past. Now, this lousy company is obviously treating our tolerance as weakness and is beginning to distort the truth and step on my brother to suck his blood. Then, we have to properly settle the score. Chapter 455. Passers-by may not know the oppression that Luo Weibing has suffered over the years, but his true love fans remember it better than anyone else. If they arrange a lot of work for him, they know that Luo Weibing's family is not good and he needs money. If he has a job, he can make money. Even if many jobs are not worthy of his position, even if he is often tired like a dog. But what really makes Luo Weibing's fans sick is that this agency and his former agent really do all kinds of dirty operations. For example, a program or crew only invited Luo Weibing, and the company had to add another family member in the company to let Luo Weibing sign with the other party. If this family member is a moldable talent, it's okay. But the reason why the family member can become a family member is that he has no strength and wants to take a shortcut. Because of this binding agreement, the company and Luo Weibing's former agent made Luo Weibing bear a lot of blame and lose a lot of cooperation partners. What's more, most of Luo Weibing's anti-fans are gathered because of these dirty things. A few years ago, Luo Weibing was still their own artist. The company expected that he still had some value. Although it was disgusting, it was not too much. In the past 1 or 2 years, Luo Weibing's contract period was approaching, and his sister just happened to be seriously ill. The company divided some of his resources to other newcomers in the company on the grounds that something happened to his family and he couldn't take too much work in a short time. Not only did they take away the resources he should have, but they also deliberately let people publish articles to show the humanity of their company, causing a large number of media to rush to the hospital, just to find out what disease Luo Weibing's sister had, how was the treatment now, and whether her life was in danger. Luo Weibing and his sister were harassed several times. Finally, they had to transfer overnight, but they still couldn't completely get rid of these annoying reporters. This matter has been enough to make Luo Weibing's fans sick. Later, in order to be able to observe her idol closely, she specially applied for the internal staff of her former agency. In addition to squeezing Luo Weibing to promote the newcomers, the company's bigger purpose was to create how good the company was to him and force Luo Weibing to renew the contract with them. Because such a good and humane company, if Luo Weibing transferred to another company in his heyday, he would undoubtedly be labeled as ungrateful. After knowing this, Luo Weibing's fans were disgusted. On the one hand, they were looking forward to Luo Weibing's contract expiring as soon as possible and leaving this blood-sucking company. On the other hand, they were worried that Luo Weibing couldn't bear the pressure and continued to waste time in this dog company or leave the company. Therefore, as soon as he saw that someone had exposed the black material and someone was trying to fish in troubled waters, singing about how good Luo Weibing's former agency was to him and how ungrateful he was, he knew that it must have something to do with his agency. Unfortunately, as soon as they opened their mouths, they would be beaten into saying, "What kind of idol has what kind of fans?" Luo Weibing is ungrateful, and his fans are also blind. No one was willing to believe them, just like they clearly helped to clarify that Luo Weibing was in the hospital because his relatives were sick, not because Su Yiyan was pregnant, but they were pressed to the bottom by countless Water Army anti-fans, and it was hard to see the light of day. Su Yiyan's response gave them confidence that Luo Weibing's new company would not give up on him. In this case, they could also let go of their hands and feet and tear up this evil former agency. Chapter 456. Dongqing and Hua Qinhuan's programmers didn't let them down. Su Yiyan attracted some firepower and won some time for them to investigate and collect evidence. Not long after Luo Weibing's statement was released, Dongqing's official account gave the evidence that the public wanted. First of all, the director who accused Luo Weibing of being untrustworthy and having no spirit of contract. Dongqing got the chat records of him and Luo Weibing's agent. From the records, it showed that the director began to talk to Luo Weibing's agent more than a month ago, asking him if he could persuade Luo Weibing to take over the show. Luo Weibing's agent promised, but hinted that the director could persuade Luo Weibing, but he had to give him some benefits. The director was also good, and directly transferred a lot of money to Luo Weibing's agent. After that, it was a month of tug-of-war. The latest chat record between the two was yesterday. When the director learned that Luo Weibing had terminated his contract with the agency and transferred to another company, he contacted the former agent immediately and asked him to return the money. The former agent asked himself that he had made a lot of efforts these days, but Luo Weibing didn't listen. He was determined to terminate the contract with the company, which made him be scolded by his boss and the directors and advertisers who had been good before. He didn't want to hand over the money, so he told the director that the company was ready to deal with Luo Weibing and his agency. Luo Weibing would be ruined after this. It was better to take advantage of this opportunity to make a wave of popularity. The director was moved. The reason why he insisted on Luo Weibing taking over the role was to take advantage of his popularity. Now there was a ready-made way. Why not? Just like that, the two of them happily finalized the plan. They probably never thought that these things that they thought were private would be dug out so quickly and even made public. When the director saw the chat record, he felt that his eyes were dark. He called Luo Weibing's former agent directly, because the chat record showed that the receiver was the other side. "Pu Wei, you hurt me." "Wait, it's not over." After that, he didn't give the other side a chance to explain and hung up the phone directly. Pu Wei was also confused. He was sure that he had never shown these chat records to anyone. Why did the other side have such a detailed chat record? Could it be that the other party had hacked his account? When he thought up to here, Pu Wei felt a chill run down his spine, and he kept having the feeling that things were about to get worse. As it turned out, his premonition was quite accurate. As soon as Dongqing's chat record was sent out, Luo Weibing's fans suddenly exploded. Trash. As expected, it's this trashy company and trashy manager. I knew that our brother isn't the kind of person who acts like a big shot just because he's famous. This trashy manager and this trashy director are heartless. Ice Cube says that she will boycott all TV series and movies made by this director in the future. A trashy director is not fit to be a human. I'm so angry. I knew that this lousy company was evil, but I didn't expect it to be this evil. Indeed, in the eyes of capitalists, there is only money and no conscience. Where are the people who were clamoring for Big Brother to show evidence? Come and take a look at the evidence you want. Does your face hurt? Even after being used as a tool, he still foolishly worked for others. Keyboard warriors only have such IQ. Chapter 457. Of course, the keyboard warriors and the water army can't just surrender. They insist that the chat records can be forged, and who can be sure that the two people who are talking are really the former agents of the director and Luo Weibing. Luo Weibing's fans were amused by their lies. They were about to roll up their sleeves and fight with them when they saw someone shouting below. Hurry up, the official blog has posted evidence again. It seems that this time, they are really going to beat these idiots to the ground. I have been a bystander for so many years, but this is the first time I'm so excited. Hurry up, let's go and see. Seeing this, Luo Weibing's fans didn't care about the water army. They refreshed the page and saw the latest news from the official blog. Dongqing Entertainment, don't be too social. Did you get our baby's permission to take over? There was an audio after the update. Luo Weibing's fans clicked on it for a few seconds. They were stunned and then became angry. There were two protagonists in the audio, a man and a woman. Man, do you really want to do this? Woman, I can't help it. The company said that if I don't have an abortion, I can only be frozen. In addition, the company will hold me responsible and ask me to pay the liquidated damages. There is a clause in the contract I signed with the company that I can't fall in love. I broke the contract. Woman, this is our child. I don't want to abort him. But if we don't abort him, how can we pay the liquidated damages? After the child is born, what kind of milk powder and diapers don't cost money? Man, I know. I'm useless. I'm just unhappy. It's obviously my child, but they say it's someone else's. Woman, this is also something that can't be helped. If this matter is true, he may help us raise our child in the future. The company has already designed to shape me as the victim. With this popularity, I may really become popular. This is the only chance for me and my child. Bear with it. After this matter, our family of 3 can live a good life. Man. Yes. Yes, my ass. You don't want to abort or pay the liquidated damages, so you can just smear an innocent passerby who has nothing to do with you. You want others to raise your child for you. Relying on sucking other people's blood to get to the top. You're living a good life, but why don't you think about what kind of criticism the person who took over the plate will receive? How miserable will he be? You're still unhappy about this? Just bear with it, okay? Truly, shameless people are invincible in this world. Luo Weibing's fans heard the end and almost exploded in place. I've never been so angry since I was born. My hand that's holding my phone is shaking. What kind of trashy woman is this? She deserves to be a nobody for the rest of her life. She knows that my brother has nothing to do with her, and she knows that the child is not my brother's, but for her own interests, she came out to slander my brother for forcing her to have a child and even asked her to have an abortion. This is the first time I have seen such a shameless woman in my life. It's a good thing that Big Brother's new company is awesome this time. Otherwise, Big Brother would definitely be the one taking over the business. He's clearly not doing anything, yet he has to raise someone else's child. Who's so disgusting? I'll say it 1,000 times. Trash companies have no heart, no heart, no heart. When he was in the company, he was robbed of his resources and forced to take the blame for a newbie. After he left, he was slandered and stepped on. What did Big Brother owe you for you to trample on him like this? Chapter 458. Luo Weibing's fans were furious, and Dongqing Entertainment also released the third piece of evidence. It directly released the video of Su Yiyan visiting Luo Siki in the hospital that day. This video was taken by a nurse in the hospital. She was a fan of Luo Weibing. When she saw Luo Weibing coming to visit Luo Siki with Su Yiyan, she secretly recorded it and prepared to keep it as a private collection. She did not expect that it would unexpectedly become an important piece of evidence. However, when the scandal between the two of them broke out, she tried to release this video to prove their innocence. He did post it, but it was deleted in less than 2 minutes. His account was also blocked. Her account was used to chase stars, and few people paid attention to it. Therefore, this video was not noticed by many people. At that time, she realized that this matter was not simple. There must be someone behind it secretly to hurt Luo Weibing. After weighing the pros and cons, she summoned up the courage to send this video to the official account of Dongqing Entertainment. Originally, she was worried that the official account would be full of emails and might not notice her so soon. Unexpectedly, in half a minute, the other party replied to her, thanking her for her help and promising to give her a certain reward and a full set of works and photos of Luo Weibing after the matter was solved. The length of the video was less than 2 minutes. The people who appeared in it were as Luo Weibing said in the statement. In addition to him and Su Yiyan, there were Xia Junsheng and others. Su Yiyan first asked about Luo Siqi's physical condition. After learning that her illness was getting better, she comforted Luo Weibing and asked him to take good care of his sister. The work was not urgent for the time being. Luo Weibing's fans were moved when they saw this video. They only felt that their brother finally met a good boss after all the hardships. Boo-hoo, I was full of anger when I heard the audio before. When I saw this video, I couldn't help crying. There are still many good people in the world. My brother and sister finally made it. Hee hee. One of them helped without saying a word, but was used by others to criticize and slander him with extremely dirty thoughts and vicious words. The other one clearly did something disgusting, but still insisted on describing himself as a pure white lotus that grew out of the mud. He wished that everyone would know how humane he was. It's ironic to think about it. Upstairs, people really can't stand the comparison. No wonder my brother is so protective of the new company. Looking at this video and the strange statement issued by a dog company not long ago, it's really a little disgusting. I heard that the current boss of Dongqing Entertainment is a little angel, protective and handsome. I didn't think so before, but now I finally believe it. I want such a good boss, I also want such a good boss. I've been eating melon for a whole day. My brother is a good boss. Fortunately, the company signed is a good company, of the future. Although saying this is a bit of a spoilsport, if this incident didn't involve the boss and only targeted her brother, Dongqing probably wouldn't be so angry. I wonder if the higher-ups of the company who planned this farce are pissed to death now. Yang. Chapter 459. Luo Weibing's old boss, the senior executives who secretly wanted to use this incident to destroy Luo Weibing, and his former agent were really angry. They thought that Luo Weibing signed with an unknown small company. Even if this company had a movie queen and a king, they still didn't take the other party seriously. Especially after knowing that the person in charge of this company was a woman, they subconsciously looked down on her. She was just a woman. What could she do? But reality gave them a slap in the face. The people who wanted to cause trouble didn't lose anything at all. Instead, they gained a lot of sympathy. Even the shameful things they did were exposed. Everyone gritted their teeth in anger and hurriedly held a meeting to discuss the follow-up countermeasures. However, before they could come up with any countermeasures, Su Yiyan directly declared war on them. Little Susu of Huan Huan's family, I have a bad temper. If I can fight, I won't talk too much. Let's not beat around the bush. It's getting cold. Ruei should go bankrupt. Ruei was Luo Weibing's former agency. Seeing this post, a group of onlookers were stunned. Damn, what kind of overbearing president's declaration is this? Although she is indeed a female president, it's inexplicably exciting. You dare to mess with my artist, I'll make you bankrupt. What kind of love is this? I love such a boss. Upstairs, you're a black fan. You obviously dared to say that my husband is old and ugly. I'll mess with you. This is immortal love. Don't make a mistake. Upstairs, you dragged President Su and her husband into the water. If she doesn't make you bankrupt, her surname is not Su. Is immortal love something you can scam as you want? Ha 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 ha, I actually got candy from such a Chinibu statement. Am I hopeless? Mo Fong, from today onwards, Ice Cube is a CP fan of President Su and her husband. President Su is a CP. Let's kill these evil idiots. As these people said, Su Yiyen posted this post for her husband. It would have been fine if they had only involved her. She couldn't be bothered to waste her time with these idiots. However, it was different when her husband was involved. She had caused her husband to be scolded by so many people. They even mocked him for being old and ugly. She could not let this matter go so easily. She was determined to fight to the death with this dog company. Whoever retreated was a dog. Of course, there were also some men who couldn't stand Su Yiyen's words and began to accuse Su Yiyen of bullying others. Yo, the capitalists are starting to make their move. Even a small company dared to challenge Rui Yi. It wasn't certain who would swallow who. Let's wait for this stupid woman to be slapped in the face. She's so arrogant because she has a rich husband. What's there to be proud of? To put it bluntly, they are all jackals of the same tribe. Luo Weibing's fans are also stupid. Maybe people help your idol so much just for the unspoken rules. They even think she is good. They are really brainless. This woman doesn't look like a good person at first glance. Perhaps she's using her husband's money to keep a gigolo outside without being discovered. Even if it's discovered, it can be suppressed with money. The power of capital is really not what ordinary people like us can imagine. Some people were like this. They believed what they wanted to believe. Even if it was the truth, even if others explained it many times, they could selectively block it and be at ease as if they were blind. Chapter 460. Su Yiyen didn't care about these people's cheap mouths. She secretly noted down the keyboard warriors who scolded her husband and handed them over to the company's legal department to deal with. Little did she know that Hu Chenhuan did the same thing. He secretly noted down the keyboard warriors who slandered his wife and handed them over to the company's technical department to deal with. Both sides were allies. When they met, they felt like they were being forced to eat a bunch of dog food. Everyone. This is too much. After handing over the follow-up matters to the legal department, Su Yiyen returned home feeling refreshed. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Hu Chenhuan and Uncle Zhang watching Dun Dun face the wall to reflect. Su Yiyen blinked in confusion. What's wrong with Dun Dun? Hearing Su Yiyen's voice, everyone's gaze shifted to her, including Dun Dun, who was facing the wall the whole time and had his butt facing Hu Chenhuan. Woof, master, the dog's daddy bullied me. Nothing, it caused some trouble this morning. I punished it to face the wall for half an hour. She played down most of the main points. Dun Dun. I was clearly very obedient today. When did I cause any trouble? You're clearly using your position to take revenge on me and bully me for not knowing how to speak. Helplessly, this dog suffered because it didn't know how to speak. As soon as Su Yiyen heard Hu Chenhuan's words, she immediately understood and nodded. She said firmly, this little guy is indeed becoming more and more presumptuous recently. We should discipline it. Let it squat, I'll go cook for you. Crack, this was the sound of Dun Dun's heart breaking. Sure enough, with a stepfather, there would be a stepmother. There was no way to live like this. Su Yiyen turned to enter the kitchen, but Hu Chenhuan pulled her back first. Huh? Su Yiyen looked confused. What's wrong? I'm the most handsome person in the world. When Uncle Zhang saw that the young couple had something to talk about, he tactfully left. At this moment, there was only Su Yiyen and an autistic dog left in the living room. Hearing Hu Chenhuan's words, Su Yiyen's face instantly turned red. She said rather embarrassedly, you saw it? She had been so confident when she posted it on the internet, but now that she was in front of the person in question, she felt inexplicably ashamed. She was indeed not thick-skinned enough. Hu Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyen's blushing face and smiled. Are you serious? Su Yiyen was slightly startled, but she quickly reacted and said with a serious face, of course I'm sincere. In my eyes, you're the most handsome person in the world. The smile in Hu Chenhuan's eyes deepened. He pinched her face and said, I've already sent someone to purchase Ruei. I'll hand it over to you within 3 days. Bye. Ruei? Su Yiyen was taken aback. Didn't you say that you wanted to close it down? I did say that, but at that time, she wanted to ask her brother for help, not ask Hu Chenhuan to buy the company for her. What? Nothing. Hu Chenhuan seemed to have seen through her thoughts. He sighed slightly and said, if you have any difficulties in the future, I hope that the first person you think of is me. Su Yiyen was slightly startled. After she reacted, she couldn't help but smile. Okay, I'll remember that. If I have any difficulties in the future, I'll definitely look for you first. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Hu Chenhuan's expression became better. He looked directly into Su Yiyen's eyes and said meaningfully, I heard that you were confessed to by a student at school today. Su Yiyen. Which bastard spread the news to her, and to her husband? Chapter 461. Don't misunderstand, As soon as she met Hu Chenhuan's eyes, Su Yiyen's words got stuck in her throat. She gave up and said, Yes, someone asked me if I was single. Actually, it wasn't a confession. It's just that young people are a little restless. Also, I told them clearly that I'm married. She didn't do anything, so why did she feel inexplicably guilty when asked? Su Yiyen concluded that the main reason was that she wasn't thick-skinned enough. I'm sad. Huh? Su Yiyen was caught off guard by Hu Chenhuan's sudden show of weakness. Today, there were so many people scolding you and me online. It seemed like it was because of our age, but in fact, our physical disability was also an important reason. But you're almost recovered. But the people outside don't know. Hu Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyen with deep eyes. Will those who like you think that I'm not good enough for you? Will they pursue you again? I know that I shouldn't be so suspicious, but I just can't help it. I understand. Su Yiyen didn't wait for Hu Chenhuan to finish speaking and grabbed his hand first. I know what you're worried about, and I understand your concerns. As long as it involved her, Hu Chenhuan's inferiority complex would always be there. Many people wouldn't believe that this man, who was so outstanding in the eyes of those who knew him, would actually feel inferior. Because of his physical disability, and because he cared about her, he always had some doubts about himself and worried about his gains and losses. Su Yiyen was anxious and distressed. Whether it was in this life or her previous life, this man, who was strong enough to compete with the whole world, could always easily make her heart tighten. If you don't mind being watched, you can come and pick me up when I go to school next week. Hu Chenhuan's eyes lit up. Did Su Yiyen mean that he could go and claim sovereignty at any time? Okay, I'll come and pick you up. Hu Chenhuan's restless heart calmed down a little, but suddenly a trace of other thoughts appeared. I want a compensation. What kind of compensation? Tonight, let's try the game together. Although Fantasy Feast would be officially released in 4 days, as the big boss of this game, Gu Xiaoyang had already sent the two a set of game cabins. This was a super benefit that only internal employees could enjoy. As long as you want to, you can experience anything before others. Su Yayan agreed without hesitation. It just so happens that I'm quite curious about this holographic game. Let's play together tonight. Okay. Hu Chenhuan smiled again, holding on Su Yiyen's hand. He wanted to send the virtual world he had created to her. He wanted to take her to every corner of the world and see the scenery of the world together. The two happily decided the entertainment, meeting, activity that night. Those keyboard warriors, the director, the female artists, and Rui, who stood behind them, were not in such a good mood. Not long after Su Yayan posted that post, Dongqing Entertainment listed out the list of people that needed to be dealt with. The list ranged from a certain agency to a bystander who had reposted and commented more than 500 times. As long as there was evidence of slandering the parties involved, a lawyer's letter was sent to them. Chapter 462. The first to bear the brunt were the 18th-tier actress, a certain director, and a certain management company. However, the first to panic were the keyboard warriors. These people often scolded when celebrities had scandals, and no one did anything to them. They really didn't understand why they stepped into a ditch this time. At first, these people didn't care much when they saw their IDs on the list. They only thought that Dong Cheng was bluffing and that it would pass after a few days. They didn't expect to receive a lawyer's letter from the other party in less than half an hour. Only then did they realize the seriousness of the matter. The first thing these people thought of was not to apologize, but to scold Dong Cheng's account. A small company is a small company. It's such a small matter and they send a lawyer's letter. They really don't have any tolerance at all. They deserve to be fired. It's indeed a company run by women. You're so calculative. Are you afraid that others don't know that you're so petty? Trash company. If you have the ability, sue us. We're scolding you, so what? At first, the passers-by were a little strange when they saw these comments. When they saw that these people's IDs were exactly the same as those on the list, they suddenly understood. Ha 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 ha, I was wondering why there were suddenly so many nitpicking comments. It turns out that, although it's not kind, I still want to laugh. By the way, they deserve it. This is the second time, and there are still people who don't learn their lesson. Do you think that you can casually scam me, President Su? If you dare to come forward, you should be prepared to be slapped in the face. Do you really think that no one can do anything to you through the internet? After seeing the video of President Su scolding the scumbag and mistress, you should know that she's not someone to be trifled with. You deserve it. Yo, the cancer of the straight man is everywhere. Settling accounts with you is being calculative and petty. According to what you said, those people who were scolded by you deserve it. They can't resist, right? Don't say, I like how President Su is so stubborn. If people don't offend her, she won't offend them. If people offend her, she will pay them back 10 times. Serves them right. This is the first time in my life that I've seen someone rush to be sued. Don't worry, President Su is ruthless and doesn't say much. If I say I'll wash your mouths for free, then I'll wash your mouths for free. Serves you right. There was no need for the people from Su Yiyen's company to control the comments. The passers-by who couldn't stand it had already spontaneously attacked these people until they were speechless. Luo Weibing's fans are even more happy. They can't wait to go out and buy a truck of firecrackers. My brother's luck is finally getting better. He signed with such a firm that's even tougher than a diamond, and he's going to confront Rui directly. Dong Ching Chongya, press this dog company to the ground and rub it. From today onwards, Ice Cube is the most loyal fan of the official blog. Ha 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 ha, reality has proven that you'll really bump into ghosts if you walk too much at night. Didn't this trashy female artist want to use her brother as a stepping stone to rise to fame? Now it's great. After a wave of black and red, it's completely gone. Goodbye. JPG. Anyone who paid a little attention to this circle would know that those keyboard warriors and water armies would be sued for nothing more than some money. If it was serious, they would be locked up for a few days. The female artist, the director, and Rui were different. To put it bluntly, the entertainment circle was all about the popularity of passers-by. If a person with bad character wasn't exposed, it was okay. If it was exposed, except for some radical fans, who would be willing to buy their account? The female artist was a D-list actress. She didn't have many fans, so naturally, she didn't have much support. This time, she was completely gone. Chapter 463. It was the same for a certain director. If he was a great director, there would be no need to rush to find people. As soon as the audition notice was released, there would naturally be many people coming to apply. Now that his reputation was ruined, the investors would most likely withdraw their investment or even hold him accountable and ask him to pay the penalty for breach of contract. The early investment had already been invested, and with the penalty for breach of contract, the director could not rely on this show to make money. It was already good enough that he did not empty his savings and was in debt. As for Rui, in the eyes of many people, it was indeed bigger than Dongcheng and could be regarded as an established entertainment company. At first, the crowd was still waiting excitedly. They wanted to see a life-and-death battle between the two companies. But it didn't take long for them to realize that they were still too naive. After waiting and waiting, the two companies did not openly fight and both sides suffered losses. Instead, they waited for the senior executives of Rui to commit tax evasion, forcing the company's artists to accept the unspoken rules, and even causing a shocking scandal that killed people. Overnight, almost all the senior executives of Rui were arrested. Without a leader and a lost reputation, Rui easily changed owners. This swift and decisive fall from power left the onlookers dumbfounded, but they also exclaimed in satisfaction. Some people who were hiding after this incident were not as miserable as Rui, but they also learned some lessons. Ah! Mrs. Hu stood in front of the emergency room door, anxiously pacing around. From time to time, she would let out a low cry and murmur that she could not suppress. How could this be? How could this be? Hua Qihan, who heard the news, came with a dark face. When he saw her like this, he frowned. What the hell is going on? My company has a contract to sign in a while. Mrs. Hua was anxious, and when she heard his words, she instantly became angry. Contract, contract, contract. You only think about the contract. Xiaofeng has an accident, and you still think about the contract. If it had been in the past, when he heard that his only son had an accident, Hua Qihan might have been nervous, but now he was unexpectedly indifferent and even a little impatient. If I don't sign the contract and don't work, what will you eat? You eat my food and live in my house, and you complain about me. Who gave you the face? Mrs. Hua was speechless by her husband's unceremonious rebuke. It took a while for her to react, and she trembled slightly with anger. What do you mean? Despise me? Back then, you were the one who didn't let me go out to work. You said that women should stay at home to take care of their husbands and children. You said that you would take good care of us. It's only been a few years. Have you forgotten? Enough. Hua Qihan impatiently interrupted Mrs. Hua's words. He did not cherish her as much as he did when they were husband and wife. He only felt that she was annoyed because she was moaning for no reason. I don't want to argue with you. Did you call me just to argue with me? What happened to Xiaofeng? If you don't tell me, I'm leaving. Mrs. Hua was trembling with anger. She thought of her son, who was still in the emergency room. She took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in her heart. She said coldly, I don't know. I just received a call saying that Xiaofeng was beaten up in a bar and is still in the emergency room. Hua Qihan clicked his tongue and complained in a low voice, You're already an adult, yet you're still doing nothing and causing trouble everywhere. Mrs. Hua widened her eyes in disbelief. It was as if she could not believe that these words came from her husband. In the past, even if Hua Xiaofeng had taken the initiative to cause trouble, he would protect him. Now, it was obvious that his son had been beaten up and was in the emergency room. It was someone else's fault. How could he blame him for causing trouble? You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.